Wei Xiaobei pulled out his white mist knife and pierced downwards. The white mist knife appeared to deal a great amount of damage to the wooden training dummy. When the knife pierced down, the wooden training dummy struggled. This was the first time Wei Xiaobei had ever encountered this. As Wei Xiaobei continued to force the knife down, the place the knife struck began to blacken and emit black smoke. The knife sunk quickly as if it was not cutting wood but hard tofu. Rustle. Wei Xiaobei by this time had easily dug out pieces of wood from the wooden training dummy's back. After noticing the special effect the knife had on the wooden training dummy, the wooden pillar met with misfortune. Swish, swish, swish. Not long after, the wooden training dummy's hands and legs were cut apart by the knife. Black wooden shavings scattered all across the ground. However, the wooden training dummy was still not dead. Its body that could no longer move would shake from time to time, signifying that it was still alive. What surprised Wei Xiaobei was that when he pierced the wooden training dummy on the back and opened up a 20-centimeter hole, cyan-colored liquid sprayed out and splashed on the knife, emitting a cyan-colored smoke. The liquid then lost color and flew all over the wooden training dummy. Soon, a small yellow heart the size of a thumb floated out from the colorless liquid. The wooden training dummy is finally dead. The 200 evolution points are mine. Wei Xiaobei pulled out the yellow-colored heart and inspected it. Woodman heart, wooden training dummy's heart. Created by condensing the body's entire essence. After eating, there is a chance to obtain the passive ability, wooden skin, that increases defense by 50%. On failure, earn 0.3 points in both muscle and endurance, and all sub-attributes in agility decrease by 0.3 points. This item can only be eaten once, further attempts would have no effect. Woodman heart. Wei Xiaobei hesitated. Eating the woodman heart had a chance to make him gain the passive ability, wooden skin. It was not bad as it increased defense by 50%. However, failure would increase muscle and endurance by only 0.3 points while decreasing all sub-attributes under agility by 0.3 points. This meant that he would have a loss of 60 evolution points. There were both risks and gains. I should slow down a bit. There should not just be one of these. Wei Xiaobei thought for a bit and stuffed the heart into his backpack. Then he jumped on the next wooden training dummy and struck at it with his knife. In truth, just because the wooden training dummy was a 2-star elite creature did not mean that it would be inferior to a group of lickers. However, its speed was lamentable. If it faced the lickers, they would not be able to deal with it, nor would it be able to deal with the lickers. In just a few minutes, the 3 wooden training dummies were reduced to corpses. Wei Xiaobei noticed that the woodman heart was not something that every wooden training dummy had. Only the first wooden training dummy had a woodman heart. The rest of them only sprayed out blue liquid. On the other hand, the white mist knife's white luster seemed to be overtaken with blue fog winding over it after being splashed by the blue liquid 3 times. However, after these changes appeared, Wei Xiaobei was still unable to see anything new, whether on the status panel or appraisal. The only thing he could tell was that it was evolving. Perhaps because there was not enough time. At this time, Huang Kuan had already adapted to fighting against the saplings. The fire axe in his hand had already slain 5 saplings. On Zhu Xinyi's side, there were losses and gains. 7 saplings had been eliminated, but the total green dwarfs that died had amounted to 10. The amount of saplings charmed were 6. From this result, it could be said that Zhu Xinyi had made a few gains. Although the green dwarfs and the saplings were normal 1-star creatures, the saplings were stronger than the green dwarfs. The only weakness was that their movements were slow, but there was no problem with that. Once the sapling extended its roots, it could reach up to 20 to 30 meters. Even their survivability was higher than the green dwarfs. Wei Xiaobei looked at the wooden training dummies on outdoor practice grounds and frowned. More than 30 wooden training dummies stood there. If he were to beat them down one by one, who knew how long it would take? However, the 3 wooden training dummies had given him 600 evolution points. This would allow him to increase his fighting power. After all, as long as he did not become careless, those wooden training dummies would not attack him at the same time, and he would still have time to place his evolution points. Willpower. Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate. He immediately focused on his status panel. His willpower that had reached 17.82 points began to increase as his evolution points decreased. 17.83, 17.84, 17.85. When his willpower reached 20 points, his evolution points stopped decreasing. Iron Will. Wei Xiaobei felt clear-headed when his willpower increased to 20 points. The sound and light distractions everywhere around him seemed to have decreased in potency. Wei Xiaobei's awareness had increased to 20 points, allowing him to greater perceive the information in his surroundings and eliminate disturbances. Time went on, and although he was slightly used to it, it was still a bit hard to endure. Following his willpower's increase to 20 points, a new passive ability appeared. After gaining Iron Will, every external disturbance was immediately suppressed. Naturally, this suppression did not affect Wei Xiaobei's ability to gather information. As long as Wei Xiaobei wanted to obtain certain information, then only that information would appear. Any sound that he wanted to hear would be the only thing that would be normal, while other sounds would be suppressed. In simpler terms, it was like a filter. Naturally, Iron Will was not a simple ability. Wei Xiaobei carefully inspected this ability and obtained information about it. Iron Will, the owner is able to weaken most illusions, charms, and other mind-affecting techniques. Chance to defend against suppression from creatures stronger than the owner. Without a doubt, this ability did not directly increase his fighting power, but it allowed him to defend against his opponent's weakening attacks against him. If he were to face an enemy with a charm attack like Zhu Xine in the future and he was not able to defend against it, it was easy to imagine the end result. Although Wei Xiaobei might not lose his life, he would become another's puppet, and it was obvious his days would not be good afterwards. If it was a normal person, they would also not agree to follow obediently. The thought of being a puppet forever was terrifying. Other than obtaining the Iron Will ability, Wei Xiaobei's creature rank also increased. Creature rank, 2-star terror. Any 3 attributes exceed 20 points will increase creature rank to 2-star. Terror. Special skill intermediate intimidation levels up to high intimidation. Note, 2-star creatures can only reach terror rank. Seeing the changes in his status panel, Wei Xiaobei smiled. He had unconsciously become a 2-star terror creature. However, being strong in the dust world did not mean that one was unparalleled. A 2-star terror creature was indeed strong, but there were still 3-star and 4-star creatures that were much stronger. Every increase in creature rank would have terrifying changes in strength. Just looking at the Citizen of Longbow and the Fire Dragon was enough to understand how terrifying 4-star creatures were. Those creatures were so strong that they could easily destroy a city. Seeing Wei Xiaobei daydream while sitting on the wooden training dummy's corpse, Huang Kuan, who had just eliminated another sapling, moved closer. Big brother Wei, are you alright? I'm fine. Boy, try to see if you can come in here. Wei Xiaobei raised his head and looked at Huang Kuan. This thought suddenly popped up in his head. However, when Huang Kuan took a single step, he had hit some kind of invisible wall before he had even passed through the red line. He immediately lost balance and hit the invisible wall with his body, looking like an idiot that had hit against glass. It looks like I really can't go there. Huang Kuan was disappointed. He also had the same thought as Wei Xiaobei. If he could pass through, then he could live well following his big brother Wei. Wei Xiaobei also regretfully shook his head and stood up. He waved at Huang Kuan, there is a monster behind you. Huang Kuan turned around and found that a sapling was crawling towards him. It had been attracted by his movements. You want to bully me? Huang Kuan cursed in his mind and charged forward while raising the fire axe. In terms of benefits, Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine could not obtain more than Wei Xiaobei, but it was still a lot. Every sapling that was killed was equivalent to 20 evolution points. Other than that, every sapling sap that was swallowed would give 0.1 points in health and endurance. Naturally, they could only take 1 drop per sapling. Taking any more drops from the same sapling would have no effect. Although the sap was not as effective as the big tree spirit sap that could be taken as many times as possible, there were a lot of saplings, enough to increase Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine's health and endurance by leaps and bounds. Zhu Xine was the first to discover the benefits and she informed Huang Kuan about it. Then she commanded the saplings under her control to move towards Huang Kuan. Although they could not cross the line to meet up directly and had to take a detour, there were only around 40 saplings standing between them. At this time, the distance between Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine was not far with only around 20 saplings between them. Seeing that there was no way for the two of them to cross the gray line, Wei Xiaobei extinguished the thought and stood up. Then he looked at the wooden training dummies around the place. The distribution of the wooden training dummies was quite dense. Most of them only had a distance of 5 to 6 meters between each other. This was also why Wei Xiaobei had accidentally attracted 3 wooden training dummies at the same time. If Wei Xiaobei wanted to attack a wooden training dummy, he would have to attract more than 2 wooden training dummies at the same time. He wrinkled his brows and did not immediately attack as he checked his status panel. He still had 382 evolution points left, and he could not leave it unused. Unconsciously, his attention moved toward his sturdiness. The lock placed on it had already been removed, and it had returned to black. Oh. Wei Xiaobei pondered for a moment and decided to place his evolution points into sturdiness. Because he wanted to quickly eliminate the wooden training dummies, he needed to be sturdier if he wanted to fight them face to face. Soon, his evolution points quickly decreased. 382 evolution points was only enough to increase his sturdiness to 18.82 points. Although his sturdiness did not exceed 20 points, there were still some changes to his body. The most noticeable difference was that his muscles had bulged a bit more. Wei Xiaobei had made an estimate on how long muscle reconstruction took. If he was going to increase it to 20 points, the muscle reconstruction would take more than an hour. No matter what was said, the aura around Wei Xiaobei had changed. He was previously only a sturdy man. But now, Wei Xiaobei was like a bear that gave off a tyrannical air around him. Naturally, this had something to do with his high intimidation skill. Special skill. High intimidation, when facing any humanoid creature below 2-star, would be afflicted with a negative status, such as fear, reverence, panic, etc. Any afflicted creature would run away, stop advancing, worship, etc. The effects are a huge upgrade from intermediate intimidation. Compared to the intermediate intimidation that could only affect humans below 2-star, high intimidation also affected humanoid creatures. The description of humanoid creatures in the status panel stated that they could stand on 2 legs and looked similar to humans. The fishmen and green dwarfs that Wei Xiaobei encountered were all included in this status panel. As for the zombies, Wei Xiaobei was not sure if they were included as well. The increase in sturdiness had given Wei Xiaobei an indescribable confidence, but he was not so foolish enough to charge into the group of wooden training dummies. Instead, he used status appraisal on one of them. Status appraisal had a high chance of attracting an enemy's attention. Wei Xiaobei was now using this weakness as a way to attract the wooden training dummy's attention one by one. The training dummy that was crouching on the ground stood up. From its point of view, it felt a deep malice looking at it. What should it do? Grab the youngster and beat him up. That's simple. Wei Xiaobei smiled and tightened his grasp on the white mist dagger while looking at the slow-moving wooden training dummy. When the wooden training dummy reached 5 meters from him, Wei Xiaobei stamped on the ground and concentrated his energy on his shoulder. Iron Mountain Lean. He continued moving forward and struck the wooden training dummy's left leg. Boom! When the sound echoed, Wei Xiaobei immediately retreated. The wooden training dummy lost its center of gravity and its balance. Its body shook and fell down. Before the wooden training dummy hit the ground, Wei Xiaobei immediately leapt up and made 7 to 8 cuts on the back of the wooden training dummy with his knife. Countless wooden shavings flew everywhere like snowflakes. Whoosh! Although the wooden training dummy did not feel pain, it could still feel the vibration on its back. As it let out a silent roar, the wooden training dummy's legs bent as it slowly stood up again, wanting to shake off Wei Xiaobei. However, Wei Xiaobei had already anticipated this. How could he give the wooden training dummy a chance to counterattack? Wei Xiaobei suddenly jumped and then concentrated his energy to a single point. His body soared up and immediately dropped down. He shouted as he concentrated the energy below him. 1,000-kilogram drop. This time, Wei Xiaobei was like a 1,000-kilogram cauldron smashing into the back of the wooden training dummy. With a strong smash, the wooden training dummy that was attempting to stand up once again lost its balance and fell to the ground. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After smashing the wooden training dummy back down, Wei Xiaobei's hand did not stop moving and continuously stabbed at the fist-sized dent. Whenever the wooden training dummy tried to stand up and retaliate, Wei Xiaobei would jump again and use his 1,000-kilogram drop to send it back down. After a few repetitions, Wei Xiaobei's attacks caused blue liquid to spray out from the depression. When it splashed on the dagger, the liquid immediately became transparent, causing blue smoke to rise. Then a woodman heart floated up. Seeing that 200 points were added to his evolution points, Wei Xiaobei relaxed. It might seem easy for Wei Xiaobei to kill the wooden training dummy, but he had cycled through a taxing process of tripping the training dummy, stabbing it, and using his 1,000-kilogram drop on it many times. Naturally, killing one of them was easier than killing 3 at the same time. Those who were not in Wei Xiaobei's position would not know the dangers he was facing. Let alone other moves, just using his Iron Mountain lean was difficult. If the timing was not grasped correctly, then the wooden training dummy would have been able to strike with its fists. It was also the same for the 1,000-kilogram drop. A single miss was the equivalent of throwing his life away. For a slow but powerful monster like the wooden training dummy, it would not care how many times it was attacked because a single attack from it was enough to murder its enemies. Its attack was not a simple scratch, but rather it was able to cause internal bleeding and break bones in its victims. Its body structure was too different, so the force of impact on their bodies was also different. No matter what was said, the amount of time that Wei Xiaobei spent in killing this wooden training dummy was 80% less than before, and he even obtained a woodman heart. After putting away the woodman heart, Wei Xiaobei looked at another wooden training dummy. Time flew by. Although Wei Xiaobei took a longer time killing the wooden training dummies compared to other monsters, the number of wooden training dummies that he had killed when he took a break had already exceeded 5. The total amount of evolution points he had obtained reached 1,200 points, and there were a total of 3 woodman heart in his backpack. Xine, Huang Kuan, come here and take a break. Zhu Xine had increased the number of saplings under her control to 10. Combining that with the remaining 9 green dwarfs and Huang Kuan, they had surrounded the 10 remaining saplings. Without the threat of the saplings, Huang Kuan was able to easily join up with Zhu Xine. This had given them an easier time. With this many forces under her, if Zhu Xine wanted to rest, she can do so easily. In contrast, Huang Kuan was fearful of being careless. If he became careless and got caught by 2 saplings, his death would not be a pleasant one. Hearing Wei Xiaobei's reminder, Huang Kuan took the initiative to run forward and stopped before the line. Zhu Xine checked her troops and slowly walked over after determining that the enemy would not be able to counterattack. Compared to Huang Kuan, who was fighting alone, Zhu Xine's expression was a lot worse. Her face appeared exhausted, as if she was woken up in the middle of the night. This was inevitable. Compared to Huang Kun, who only exerted physical power, every time Zhu Xine used her charm skill, she would exert mental power. Wei Xiaobei threw a few pieces of jerky and bottled waters to Huang Kun and Zhu Xine. Wei Xiaobei had already tried and knew that non-living things could pass through the line. At the very least, the jerky and the bottled waters could pass through. If his hand was included, then it would be blocked by the wall. Huang Kun had truly used up a lot of his stamina. His stomach had already been hungry long ago. Seeing the jerky being thrown, he immediately cheered and pounced at it like a hungry dog. Wei Xiaobei could not help but bitterly smile and shook his head when he saw that Huang Kun could truly stay happy no matter where he was. This had lightened up Wei Xiaobei's and Zhu Xine's moods. Although Zhu Xine did not act reserved like a virtuous lady, she still carried better than Huang Kun, who acted like a hungry dog. Zhu Xine was not agile enough, so she was not able to catch the jerky, and it fell to the ground. However, she did not pay attention to it. She picked up the jerky, gently blew it, and ate it. Having food in the dust world was already a wonderful thing. Being picky could only be done when they returned to reality. After eating a piece of jerky, Wei Xiaobei had recovered a bit. He did not drink water as the air was slightly humid. Wei Xiaobei relied on his moisture absorption special skill to replenish the lost fluids in his body, so he did not need to waste the precious water. Right, Huang Kun. Do you know how to use your flash drive? Wei Xiaobei suddenly asked this question. Flash drive? Huang Kun was stunned. He immediately held the jerky in his mouth and ignored his oily hands as he felt about his pockets. After a short moment, Huang Kun took out a black flash drive. There was nothing strange about its appearance, and it was not different from the low-quality flash drives that were sold from street vendors. The flash drive was something that Huang Kun had brought in from reality. Even Huang Kun did not know its true capability, but when he touched it, he instantly understood its use. Huang Kun placed the flash drive close to the jerky in his mouth. Suddenly, the jerky disappeared. In the next moment, the jerky appeared below the flash drive. Huang Kun was not able to immediately respond as the jerky fell on the ground. Crap! Huang Kun cursed. Wei Xiaobei understood that Huang Kun had comprehended the uses of the flash drive and that Huang Kun felt its capability of storing food and water was very intriguing. Huang Kun had fiddled with it, and in the end, his jerky fell on the ground. Moreover, there was a lot of dust below his feet in addition to the saliva on his jerky. The result was that even more dust had clung to Huang Kun's jerky compared to Zhu Xine's. Do I eat it or not? Huang Kun frowned as he pondered this question with a great solemnness. In the end, Huang Kun could not resist the growling sounds coming from his stomach. He picked up the jerky and washed it with water before continuing to eat it. Wei Xiaobei let out a sigh of relief when he saw this. Compared to Zhu Xine, Huang Kun's household was more well-off, so he was a bit more pampered in terms of things like food. Huang Kun's willingness to pick up the jerky that fell on the ground and wash it was already a positive sign. At the very least, Huang Kun should be able to survive in the future even if he encountered a bit of danger. Wei Xiaobei suddenly questioned why he thought of Huang Kun adventuring into the dust world alone. This was intuition. It was like a prediction that something would happen in the future that would split the three of them apart. Wei Xiaobei frowned. He attempted to use his intuition to gather more information, but he gave up after taxing his mind. Intuition was an occurrence that was too vague. It would suddenly jump at you, but controlling it could only happen in dreams. Thinking about it, Wei Xiaobei took out some hardtack, jerky, and bottled waters from his backpack. The amount that he took out consisted of about 90% of what was in his backpack. Seeing Wei Xiaobei take out all these resources, Huang Kun was a bit stunned. He held on to the flash drive with his right hand and blankly looked at Wei Xiaobei with a feeling of unease. Zhu Xine was also a bit uneasy. She immediately asked Wei Xiaobei, "Brother Wei, we won't be able to eat this much at once." "No problem. Let Huang Kuan's flash drive store everything. That way, both of you will have sufficient supplies since you won't be able to join up with me for the meantime. I'm worried that I won't have time to talk to you anymore after this." The sense of urgency in Wei Xiaobei's voice became stronger, indicating Huang Kuan to store the resources. Huang Kuan came to his senses and hurriedly pointed the flash drive at the food and water. In an instant, the food and water disappeared. "Brat, the things in there are yours and Xianyi's food and water. Don't be careless, you hear me?" Wei Xiaobei reminded him and then waved his hand to tell the two of them to deal with the remaining saplings. With 1,200 evolution points, Wei Xiaobei was at ease in using them. He did not hesitate and placed 300 evolution points into his reasoning sub-attribute. While fighting these wooden training dummies, Wei Xiaobei noticed the benefits of this attribute. The higher this attribute was, the more he would be able to adapt to the changes in the battle situation and be able to determine the corresponding action to make. In reality, Wei Xiaobei had already understood a very important problem. The intelligence attribute was not equivalent to wisdom. In simpler terms, the sub-attributes under intelligence were something similar to IQ. People with higher IQ would naturally be better at learning and reasoning. However, IQ was only one part of wisdom. Things like emotional quotient and situational awareness were also parts of wisdom. People with a high IQ may not necessarily be wise. From another perspective, people with high intelligence were like robots and computers that could memorize and calculate things easily. However, when making some decisions, they might even be worse than normal people. This was the difference between intelligence and wisdom. Wei Xiaobei had also previously thought that intelligence and wisdom were the same thing. However, this did not mean that Wei Xiaobei would not place intelligence at a high priority. Just like what was said before, the reasoning sub-attribute was very useful. After depositing 300 evolution points, his reasoning attribute increased to 15.08 points. This number was not high among his attributes, but in terms of a normal person, he was already at the level of an elite detective with 20 years of experience. Although he might not be like Detective Conan, he felt that it was sufficient. At the very least, he could now use his previous battle experience to formulate a plan in dealing with the wooden training dummies. From his estimates, he could kill the wooden training dummies 20% faster. The previous speed was something that he had been able to accomplish after much trial and error, so a 20% increase in speed was not a small amount. Next, Wei Xiaobei concentrated on his 3 Emperor Cannon Fist. His 3 Emperor Cannon Fist was now at the advanced rank. In other words, it was the equivalent of training it for around 3 years. However, because Wei Xiaobei had opened his meridians, his 3 Emperor Cannon Fist was not able to make full use of his qi, which is the main power source for the skill. However, Wei Xiaobei had understood the might of the 3 Emperor Cannon Fist after fighting with the wooden training dummies. It was different from Bajiquan. The 3 Emperor Cannon Fist was best suited for final attacks. As a result, Wei Xiaobei placed 200 evolution points to upgrade it from advanced to expert. He felt that this was enough. Relying solely on evolution points to upgrade it might make it look strong, but with an unstable foundation, there was bound to be problems when using it. It was like Bajiquan. Wei Xiaobei would not place evolution points into it unless he trained it to a certain depth. Next, Wei Xiaobei wasted a bit of time to get used to his 3 Emperor Cannon Fist by training. After that, Wei Xiaobei used 100 evolution points to increase the shooting skill that he always ignored to advanced. He also used 500 evolution points to increase the concealed weapon skill from advanced to master, skipping expert. Now, his 1200 evolution points had been decreased to 100 points. Using up this 1100 evolution points did not directly increase Wei Xiaobei's battle strength, but it was able to make up for his previous weaknesses. This was especially true for his concealed weapons skill. Wei Xiaobei had wanted to learn from his master about such techniques, but because various events happened, he had forgotten to ask about it. Now, Wei Xiaobei could only rely on his evolution points to make this skill stronger. Wei Xiaobei picked up the wood shavings from a wooden training dummy. Then he threw them. The wood shavings flew out like bullets from a gun as they struck a wooden training dummy. Pop, pop, pop. After the sounds ended, the wooden training dummy that stood up was already filled with dents of various sizes. There was even a 5 centimeter dent on its left leg joint, slowing down its speed. The power of the concealed weapons skill after reaching master was strong. When it was in advanced rank, Wei Xiaobei would sometimes miss when he threw chopsticks. Moreover, the power of his throws had deficiencies, so he was not able to reach his full potential. Now that he had increased it by 2 ranks, Wei Xiaobei's grasp of the skill had increased more than 1 level. If his previous rank was around an pro-amateur, then he was now a seeded player in the Olympic Games. The difference was just that big. If Wei Xiaobei had not grasped that many wood shavings and lost some precision due to them, the wooden training dummy would be in worse condition. Without waiting for the wooden training dummy to retaliate before him, Wei Xiaobei once again threw a handful of wood shavings. Compared to the previous throw, the number this time had decreased by a lot. As a result, Wei Xiaobei's fine handling had sent 60 to 70 wood shavings flying like a dragon toward the left leg joint of the wooden training dummy. This kind of continuous, fierce attack had injured the wooden training dummy's left leg. As a result, it had pitifully fallen on the ground. Seeing this, Wei Xiaobei became happy. Fighting from a long distance was different from close combat. If this long-distance attack was used properly, then it would be incredibly effective to use it against slow enemies. After killing 2 wooden training dummies, Wei Xiaobei grasped a handful of wood shavings and threw them outside the line. Huang Kuan was currently attempting to pull out the fire axe with all his might. This was because the fire axe had been bound due to a moment carelessness. With the sapling's toughness, it would have been better if Huang Kuan borrowed Zhu Xinyi's machete than pulling it out directly. However, Huang Kuan had a bit of pride. Asking for help from Zhu Xinyi would make him lose face. He didn't expect that the sapling would suddenly be cut. He blinked and pulled out the fire axe. As for what happened, his mind could not process it. However, he still took the chance to raise his fire axe and chop the sapling to death. This was done by Wei Xiaobei, but this kind of assistance was not something he could often do. After all, the distance between them was quite far. Being able to throw wood shavings around 10 meters was already the limit. Throwing it for more than 20 to 30 meters like chopsticks was ultimately impossible. Although Wei Xiaobei had witnessed the changes to the Qing clan dojo, he still felt that everything had been smooth this time he entered the dust world. Just when Wei Xiaobei tripped over another wooden training dummy, he noticed that every wooden training dummy inside the outer practice grounds suddenly stood up. Even the saplings on the wall all pulled out their roots. What? What is happening? Whether it was Wei Xiaobei or the others there, they all felt bewildered. However, Wei Xiaobei was immediately able to understand why the training dummies and the saplings did this. The wooden double doors between the outer practice field and the inner practice field were originally shut tight. There was even a line that prevented the wooden training dummies from entering. However, the wooden door was now letting out a creaking sound as it slowly opened. With Wei Xiaobei's current hearing ability, he could tell that there was no problem with the door when it opened. 1 cut, 2 cuts, 3 cuts. Wei Xiaobei kept his gaze on the slowly opening doors, but his hands did not stop moving as he used the white mist knife to cut the wooden training dummy, trying to kill them before something bad happened. Wei Xiaobei already had a premonition that the door opening would bring great danger or even a great opportunity. Whoosh! With the last cut, blue liquid sprayed out from the back of the wooden training dummy, hitting the knife, and became transparent. Then a woodman heart floated up from the liquid. Wei Xiaobei grabbed the woodman heart and stuffed it into his backpack, keeping his gaze on the door that was already half open. At this time, a single weapon was already walking out from the inside. Its appearance was very strange. It was around 4 meters long with a stick body. Its head was a large clenched fist and its entire body was glowing with black luster. As a martial artist, Wei Xiaobei had interest in various weapons. The weapon was called a zhua. Another meaning would be to grab. It was a weapon used in ancient times. In the Qing clan dojo in the real world, there was no such weapon, or at the very least, Wei Xiaobei had never seen it inside the inner practice ground. In any case, the weapon looked the same as the monster that was entering the inner practice grounds. It had 2 arms and 2 legs, while the hand had a single eye. When the zhua appeared, its only eye locked onto Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei did not treat it politely anymore as he used status appraisal on it. Afterwards, the weapon's status appeared in his mind. Name, Zhua Guai. Race, monster tool. Gender, none. Age. Creature rank, 2-star terror. Status, the average monster tool's status value is strength, muscle, sturdiness, agility, hand-eye coordination, flexibility, reflex, balance, vitality, health, endurance, intelligence, learning, reasoning, awareness, willpower, judgment, perception, intuition, charm, courage, persuasiveness, character, leadership, appearance. Skill, heavy strike, every attack will use full power, attack speed decreases by half, iron heart, immune to illusions, hinders appraisal, immune to mental negative effects. Evolution points, X, unable to accumulate evolution points. Items on hand. Zhua Guai. Wei Xiaobei frowned. This so-called Zhua Guai is actually a 2-star terror creature. Just the creature rank is enough to explain how strong it is. Moreover, its iron heart was somewhat similar to his iron will, but its ability had negated most of his status appraisal, making him unable to see the enemy's status. This had made Wei Xiaobei lose the advantage of using his enemy's information to form a plan. What kind of race is a monster tool? Wei Xiaobei felt that he only understood the dust world less and less. He had already experienced so much in the dust world, so he felt a certain degree of familiarity with it that he could roughly guess how the dust world worked. But now that he took another look, this monster tool appeared. The dust world that he thought he understood had suddenly become mysterious again. In any case, Wei Xiaobei still had enough confidence to beat it. Both he and the monster were 2-star terror creatures. Moreover, he had a lot of skills and even inner force. He calculated that his chances of winning was not low. The only problem was that he did not know if the Zhua Guai had any more strange skills. After all, there were question marks at the end of the skills row. While Wei Xiaobei was thinking, the wooden doors had fully opened. The Zhua Guai tottered out using its short legs. Seeing this, Wei Xiaobei was also worried that it would trip down the stairs due to carelessness. However, this was just Wei Xiaobei thinking too much. When the Zhua Guai exited the door, it did not fall at all and just stood there. Afterwards, there was a group of small Zhua Guais that also came out from the door. They were 30 centimeters long. Other than their bodies, they looked the same as the Zhua Guai at the front. Altogether, there were more than 20 small Zhua Guais. When they all came out, they formed 2 rows and followed along the line, moving towards Huang Kun and Zhu Xine. Seeing this, Wei Xiaobei was alarmed. He immediately checked their status. First, it was because he wanted to check the small Zhua Guai's status to make an estimate of the big one's status. Second, it was to attract a few of them to decrease the pressure on Huang Kun and Zhu Xine. After all, the small ones were a lot smaller than the big one. However, they were still monster tools, so Wei Xiaobei was worried for Huang Kun and Zhu Xine. After using status appraisal, the small one's status appeared in his mind. Name, Young Zhua Guai. Race, Monster Tool. Gender, None. Age? Creature rank, 1-star elite. Status, the average Monster Tool's status value is strength, muscle, sturdiness, agility, hand-eye coordination, flexibility, reflex, balance, vitality, health, endurance, intelligence, learning, reasoning, awareness, willpower, judgment, perception, intuition, charm, courage, persuasiveness, character, leadership, appearance, skill, iron heart, immune to illusions, hinders appraisal, immune to mental negative effects. Evolution points, X, unable to accumulate evolution points. Items on hand. After seeing the young Zhua Guai's status, Wei Xiaobei frowned. The young Zhua Guai's status were also blocked like the big one. Along with their ranks being lower, they also did not have the heavy strike skill. After being appraised by Wei Xiaobei, the Zhua Guai did not move from its position as it stood there like a flagpole. On the other hand, the young Zhua Guais could not help but charge towards Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei's gaze landed on the line, but the young Zhua Guais were able to cross it easily. Could it be that the line has lost its effect? Wei Xiaobei retreated a few steps and used his right hand to press backwards. He could feel a soft sensation, meaning that the invisible wall was still there. This also meant that the invisible wall only affected outsiders, but had no effect on the monsters living within. Thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei's frown sunk deeper. As the young Zhua Guais ran over, the wooden training dummies along the way all kneeled down like servants paying respect to their master. It must be known that the young Zhua Guais were only 1-star elite creatures, while the wooden training dummies were 2-star elite creatures. The difference in their strengths were quite big. Wei Xiaobei guessed their relationship while spreading apart his legs in position, appearing like a tiger preparing to come down from its mountain. Although the outer practice ground was wide, the space was still limited. Even if the young Zhua Guais were slow, they had already almost reached Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei did not take the initiative to attack and instead, just waited. He inspected around the young Zhua Guais, but luckily, the wooden training dummies did not leave their position as they continued to display their respect. When the young Zhua Guais were once again distanced from them, they stood back up as if nothing had happened. When the young Zhua Guais reached 5 meters away from Wei Xiaobei, they planted their feet on the ground and leapt up as if there were springs on their feet, reaching a height above Wei Xiaobei's shoulders. With their hands in front, they jumped towards him. Wei Xiaobei could not help but frown. He took a step forward and swatted with his left hand, directly hitting the young Zhua Guai. In an instant, the leaping young Zhua Guai was smashed to the ground, scattering dust all over. Wei Xiaobei's swat only used 30% of his strength in order to save more strength for any other possible mishaps. What Wei Xiaobei never imagined was that the young Zhua Guai would be so weak that one swat had sent it downwards. However, the young Zhua Guai's endurance against this kind of attack had surpassed Wei Xiaobei's expectation. Wei Xiaobei once again stepped forward and stamped on it, directly stamping on the young Zhua Guai's handle. Bang! A heavy sound echoed. Wei Xiaobei pulled back his leg, but the Zhua Guai seemed to have not received any injuries as it once again leapt into the air with its clenched head once again smashing down towards Wei Xiaobei. The head was holding onto an iron pen. If Wei Xiaobei was hit by the descending pen, it would be strong enough to leave a hole in his forehead. If it was a normal person, this kind of attack would have already frightened them. However, Wei Xiaobei was not a normal person. When he saw the young Zhua Guai descending and was about to reach his head, his hands moved like lightning, directly grabbing onto the young Zhua Guai's body. The young Zhua Guai that had been caught by Wei Xiaobei immediately struggled, but its arms and legs were so short that it could not even touch Wei Xiaobei. Even if that was the case, the strength of its struggle was still not small. Even though it was only 60 centimeters long, the strength that it displayed was almost uncontrollable by Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei was able to feel that its smooth body had some warmth to it, as if he was touching a real person. Then, Wei Xiaobei grabbed onto one of its short legs and gave a light pull, but he felt no resistance at all as the leg separated from the body and dropping to the ground. The place that broke was incredibly smooth, without any blood-like liquid flowing out. It was as if it had never grown a leg at all. Stop! Don't pull! You damned long-armed monster! At this moment, the young Zhua Guai suddenly spoke up. Its voice was like the friction between steel. Although the voice was strange, Wei Xiaobei could clearly hear it. Long-arm monster. Wei Xiaobei's face couldn't help become strange. His gaze landed on his arm. His arm was truly longer than the young Zhua Guai. Being called a long-arm monster was logical reasoning. The problem was that this was the first time Wei Xiaobei heard a monster of the dust world talk. Moreover, it was the language of humans. You can speak. What is this place? How did you cross the line? Wei Xiaobei's gentle voice had no effect. The young Zhua Guai did not reply to Wei Xiaobei at all. It only called him names like, long-armed monster, long-legged monster, big-mouthed monster, etc. In short, the young Zhua Guai just gave Wei Xiaobei 7 to 8 names. Seeing that it was impossible to communicate with the young Zhua Guai, Wei Xiaobei became angry and tore apart all its hands and legs. Its arms and legs were also strange. As soon as they were torn off, they would become as light as a feather, then immediately turn to dust. Even so, the young Zhua Guai did not stop speaking at all. Its words became even stranger and it did not die from having its limbs torn off. Wei Xiaobei ignored the young Zhua Guai and surveyed his surroundings. When he had caught the young Zhua Guai, the other young Zhua Guais had already reached Huang Kun and Zhu Xine and they began to fight. The saplings that Zhu Xine had tamed had already spread their roots everywhere, becoming a web of roots. The roots had tripped the young Zhua Guais had taken the lead. Soon after, the last remaining green dwarfs and Huang Kun moved forward to fight. Compared to Wei Xiaobei, who was being merciful to find out the monster tool's fighting pattern to formulate a plan, the green dwarfs and Huang Kun were merciless. Countless weapons smashed against the young Zhua Guais. Soon after, a young Zhua Guai's eyes had been pierced by an old kitchen knife. It immediately let out a shriek, stopped moving, and blew up. The strength of the explosion was not big as it only blew apart a few roots. Then it fragmented and landed in pieces on the ground. Seeing this scene, Wei Xiaobei came to an understanding that the weakness of the young Zhua Guai was its eye. After the first young Zhua Guai died, the Zhua Guai standing in front of the door began to move. From its movements, it could be seen to be moving towards Huang Kun and Zhu Xine. Could it be that it became furious at the death of the young Zhua Guai? Thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate and stabbed the young Zhua Guai in the eye with his finger. This poke caused the jabbering young Zhua Guai to stop. What was strange was that it did not explode like the previous Zhua Guai. Instead, its body's warmth slowly disappeared and then became the same as a normal weapon. When Wei Xiaobei killed the young Zhua Guai, the Zhua Guai changed directions and moved towards Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei looked at his status panel and saw that 35 points were added, giving him a total of 735 evolution points. What surprised Wei Xiaobei was that a new item had appeared in his status panel. Small Zhua. The small Zhua was the corpse of the young Zhua Guai. It was a smaller version of a normal Zhua. Moreover, it had heavy attack properties. Every third attack on an enemy would have an increased attack power of 10% and stacked until 30%. It could be said that the weapon was a small treasure. However, before Wei Xiaobei was even able to try it, he heard something bad happen on Huang Kun's side. Huang Kun had charged in too fiercely. After knowing that he could easily kill the young Zhua Guai by stabbing them in the eye, he became giddy. As a result, he became careless and got stabbed on the left shoulder. Then his fire axe was also destroyed by another young Zhua Guai. Afterwards, the two young Zhua Guais came at him from the left and the right. In this dangerous situation, it was too late even if Zhu Xine ordered her saplings to move. Seeing that Huang Kun would die at this rate, Wei Xiaobei made his move. He retreated a few steps and focused all of his power in his right hand. Then he charged towards Huang Kun. As he approached the line, he raised his right hand and threw the small zhua, launching it like a missile. Whoosh! The sound barrier broke. The small zhua hit the young Zhua Guai in the right eye, killing it in an instant. However, this was not the end as the striking force created a rebound, sending the small zhua towards the young Zhua Guai on the left, striking it and sending it flying. The small zhua landed by Huang Kun's side. At this moment, no matter how stupid Huang Kun was, he knew what to do. Without having the chance to thank Wei Xiaobei, Huang Kun endured the pain in his left shoulder and picked up the small zhua. He swung it with all his might to send back more incoming young Zhua Guais and then retreated when the opportunity appeared, hiding behind the saplings and green dwarfs. Zhu Xine hastily ran forward, tore off Huang Kun's sleeve, and used it to block the wound. Zhu Xine had never received training as a battlefield medic, so her wrapping was quite bad, but at the very least, it could temporarily stop the blood from surging out. At this time, Wei Xiaobei did not have the ability to pay attention to Huang Kun's side anymore. After the Zhua Guai came down the stairs, its running speed seemed to have doubled. When Wei Xiaobei threw the small zhua, the Zhua Guai was already less than 10 meters from Wei Xiaobei. Whoosh! The Zhua Guai leapt high in the sky and threw itself on Wei Xiaobei. The 4-meter-long Zhua Guai let out an imposing air that could not be compared to the young Zhua Guai. Wei Xiaobei had also become serious. He stretched his legs and waited for the Zhua Guai to make an arc that moved towards his forehead. At that moment, he filled his legs with strength and used the recoil to grab onto the Zhua Guai. However, he immediately felt that the downward force of the Zhua Guai could not be compared to the young Zhua Guai. Wei Xiaobei was immediately thrown to the ground. He only had the time to raise the Zhua Guai over his head. Boom! The iron pen that the Zhua Guai was holding smashed onto the ground behind him. This, however, was not the end. Wei Xiaobei felt a chill on his crotch as his brain sent out a large alarm of danger, causing him to stiffen. At this time, Wei Xiaobei did not dare hesitate. He immediately stamped on the ground and propelled himself forward, completely ignoring the two wooden training dummies in front that were watching him like prey. Wei Xiaobei's decision was a correct one. After stabbing the pen on the ground, the Zhua Guai immediately turned around and jumped towards Wei Xiaobei's crotch. It was easy to imagine that if Wei Xiaobei had been late in dodging, the Zhua Guai would have penetrated his butt and even straight through it, heavily damaging his abdomen. Wei Xiaobei understood that he had been too arrogant. The fighting style of the Zhua Guai was too different from normal monsters. Other monsters needed to borrow the power of their limbs to turn their body, but the Zhua Guai did not need to rely on its limbs at all and it did not need to rotate to attack their enemies. Moreover, its strength could not be compared with the young Zhua Guai's. Even Wei Xiaobei's hands were not enough. Seeing Wei Xiaobei move to their direction, the two wooden training dummies smashed their giant fists toward him. Wei Xiaobei currently did not dare fight against the two wooden training dummies. Behind him, the Zhua Guai had already once again started to chase after him. Although it was not fast, it was 4 meters long. If it leapt up, it would easily reach Wei Xiaobei. Get lost! Wei Xiaobei shouted. He pulled out his white mist knife with his right hand and pressed his body close to the ground. Then he stretched out his limbs causing his body to slide on the ground, evading the 4 incoming fists. Wei Xiaobei felt the friction on his chest against the ground and felt pain. In a flash, Wei Xiaobei passed below a wooden training dummy. He pressed his left hand on the ground and did a somersault, steadily landing on the ground. At this time, the Zhua Guai's iron pen had struck the wooden training dummy's hand, creating a deep hole in it. Kill. Wei Xiaobei turned around and took a chance when the pen was still stuck on the wooden training dummy to stab toward its eye with his white mist knife. Even if the other wooden training dummy smashed its fist toward Wei Xiaobei, he did not cower at all. In this kind of battle, a slight mishap would create a huge injury and even result in one's death. If the fist had hit him, then he would definitely be in a bad situation. However, Wei Xiaobei still charged ahead. The white mist knife struck the eye of the Zhua Guai. It let out a tragic cry as black liquid sprayed out from its eye. In an instant, the white mist knife and Wei Xiaobei were drenched black. Lower the shoulder. Turn the body. Wei Xiaobei tried to dodge the incoming fists with all his might, but he was a bit late as his back was hit by a fist. A strong force struck Wei Xiaobei. Goo! Although Wei Xiaobei had diverted most of the damage, his body was made out of flesh. Even if most of the damage had been diverted, the ramming force had hit his back, making him feel as if his entire body was being ripped apart. His throat warmed up as he spat out blood. However, Wei Xiaobei was unable to divert his concern to it as he continued to charge forward. When he had just taken 2 steps, the Zhua Guai's corpse exploded. Its steel body burst apart, sending shrapnels everywhere. The explosion was so strong that the nearest wooden training dummy by it had been penetrated deeply by the shrapnels without having the chance to respond. From it, blue liquid flowed out as it collapsed on the ground. The other wooden training dummy had also been affected by the explosion, blasting apart its arms. Its body was blasted back as it collapsed on the ground, but it had not yet died. Wei Xiaobei moved the fastest. Before his intuition even perceived the explosion, he had already used his 1,000-kilogram drop to send himself away from the explosion. However, Wei Xiaobei still felt pain on his back, and in an instant, 6 pen-sized holes appeared on his chest, causing fresh blood to spurt out. The Zhua Guai did not seem like much, so Wei Xiaobei never imagined that it would consider a move like self-destruct. Moreover, this self-destruct was not weak at all. The explosion was similar to a 152 howitzer artillery shell explosion. At this time, Wei Xiaobei's body was pressed down against the ground from the impact. He endured the pain as he tried to put pressure on the wounds. Luckily, the holes on his body were not too big. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei had a high health attribute. With his elementary regeneration, the blood flow slowed down after a while as his wounds slowly closed. However, Wei Xiaobei did not dare slow down. He immediately turned around and pressed his back on the ground. At this time, Wei Xiaobei did not care if the dust on the ground entered his wounds, which might cause illnesses such as tetanus. He only cared about adding pressure to his back to stop the blood from flowing. Okay. Feeling that the wound on his back had staunched, Wei Xiaobei slowly got up while enduring the dizziness from the blood loss. He picked up the white mist knife that had been flung away and then walked toward the wooden training dummy that had fallen down. The wooden training dummy was faced toward the sky, but because its arms were blown off, it could not stand back up. In the end, Wei Xiaobei sat directly on top of it and began to pierce its chest that was riddled with dents. He only stopped when blue liquid sprayed out from it. Hoo! Wei Xiaobei let out a long sigh. The sharp pain from his body made his muscles tremble. At the same time, he also felt itches from the healed wound, giving him the urge to scratch his wounds. With the temporary safety, Wei Xiaobei looked toward Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine. The battle with the Zhua Guai was so fierce that Wei Xiaobei could not pay attention to them. Now, Wei Xiaobei could not help but frown. Compared to the bitter battle on Wei Xiaobei's side, Zhu Xine's side was full of casualties. All of the green dwarfs had died from the fierce battle against the young Zhua Guai. Moreover, only 3 saplings were left. As for Huang Kuan, the main fighting force, his left shoulder was wounded, and small wounds were all over his body. Accounting for Zhu Xine, there was a small hole on one of her legs, otherwise, she was still in good condition. On the other hand, the young Zhua Guai had all been eliminated. Seeing this scene, Wei Xiaobei was slightly surprised. Although he had helped them attract one young Zhua Guai and killed one of them when he threw the small Zhua, there were still more than 20 young Zhua Guais attacking them. Their method of attacks were also very strange, so dealing with them should have been troublesome. Zhu Xine and Huang Kuan being able to defeat all of them could be considered a miracle. Other than the attribute increase that could be obtained from killing them, not all of the young Zhua Guai self-destructed. In Huang Kuan's hands were 2 small Zhuas. Although his left hand could not exert a lot of force, he now had a future weapon. As for Zhu Xine, the small Zhua did not suit her. Wei Xiaobei looked at their situation from afar with worry. He immediately walked toward them while swaying. He stood just before the line and wanted to tell them to leave the dust world first. After all, nobody knew what kind of danger they would face in the next moment. Before Wei Xiaobei was even able to speak, Zhu Xine asked Wei Xiaobei with concern, "Brother Wei, are you all right?" "I'm fine, what about you?" Wei Xiaobei shook his head as if to get rid of the dizziness he suffered from the blood loss. "I'm fine. It's just that my left arm hurts a lot." Huang Kuan was very tough. A 13-year-old junior high student that still fought against the young Zhua Guai even if his left shoulder had been pierced and dripping with blood was an admirable feat. However, now that he was relaxed, his eyes kept closing with tears flowing down from time to time. At this time, lingering fear rose from within Huang Kuan. If the wound was any heavier, his arm might have directly been cut off. "Both of you should return first," Wei Xiaobei said. Zhu Xine looked at the 3 remaining saplings with gloom. She previously had a grandiose army, but now she was only left with this much. Anyone would also feel uncomfortable if it happened to them. Zhu Xine's main fighting power was to charm monsters. The more monsters she charmed the stronger she would be. As for close combat, the most she could do was mount an ambush and attack a few times. Doing more than that would be suicide. Huang Kuan did not want to go back to reality alone, so he struggled to get up and follow Zhu Xine and her 3 saplings to one side of the wall where there was a row of saplings. Seeing that they had made their own choices, Wei Xiaobei did not pay any more attention to them. He sat down on the line and used his hand to inspect his back while enduring the pain. It was unfortunate since not all of the fragments passed cleanly through his body. Some of them were lodged inside, and any movement would cause the wound to open again. This made it impossible for the wound to fully heal and even inflamed the wound. No matter how strong his recovery was, the injury would be difficult to heal, and the fragments would stay in his back. Wei Xiaobei would be miserable if that happened. Wei Xiaobei frowned. If it goes on like this, recovery would be empty talk. Seeing that the door had once again closed from who knows when, Wei Xiaobei closed his eyes and sensed that there was no immediate danger. However, it was difficult to say that nothing else will happen. After all, his early warning skill could only accurately predict a few minutes into the future. If danger happened after those few minutes, his intuition would not be able to inform him earlier. Wei Xiaobei sighed and decided to observe from Zhu Xine's side while trying to tidy up the wounds on his back with his hands. At this time, Zhu Xine commanded her saplings to bind another sapling, raised her mirror, and stared at the sapling. This should be the so-called charm control. Who knew how many times Zhu Xine failed? Only when her face became very pale, did her sapling release the caught sapling. It seemed that she had succeeded. Zhu Xine happily looked at Wei Xiaobei's direction, but in the next moment, her body swayed, and she collapsed. If Huang Kuan did not stand behind her, Zhu Xine would probably have gotten a bloody nose. Both of you should leave first. I will protect you. Wei Xiaobei saw their appearance and knew that Zhu Xine could not go on anymore, so he quickly called out to them. With Wei Xiaobei guarding at the side, Huang Kuan became relieved. He laid Zhu Xine on the ground and also laid down as well. After lying down, Huang Kuan bitterly smiled as pride rose up from within him. The past him would never be able to imagine he would become this brave. After all, even though his parents had divorced, his life was still pleasurable. He had been heavily injured yet he could still continue on. The floor was full of dust yet he could still lie down on it without hesitation. Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine as well as the 4 saplings slowly became transparent and then disappeared. Wei Xiaobei sighed in relief. Then he ignored his injuries and the pain as he lied still on the ground, continuously thinking of leaving. Big Brother Wei. Big Brother Wei. Sister Xine, could it be that Big Brother would not wake up due to his injuries? Before opening his eyes, Wei Xiaobei heard Huang Kuan's voice beside his ears. Although Zhu Xine had entered the dust world and killed a lot of monsters with the machete, she was also very hesitant. However, she was just a college freshman that had just entered college. Facing the heavily injured Wei Xiaobei, who was not waking up, and the heavily injured Huang Kuan, she truly did not know what to do. Should she send Wei Xiaobei and Huang Kuan to the hospital or should she wait for him to wake up before deciding? After all, Zhu Xine knew that if she sent Huang Kuan and Wei Xiaobei to a hospital, the hospital could call the police to come monitor them. Enough. Hearing your chattering voice beside my ear when I just woke up is annoying. Even the dead would probably wake up if they heard you. Wei Xiaobei opened his eyes and struggled to get up while glaring at Huang Kuan. Seeing Wei Xiaobei wake up and painfully tried to get up, Zhu Xine immediately supported him. In Wei Xiaobei's eyes, Huang Kuan was a brat that would be spoiled if you don't spank him every 3 days. If he was not spanked, he might one day provoke great trouble. When Wei Xiaobei was lecturing Huang Kuan, Zhu Xine supported Wei Xiaobei's shoulder. Her face was full of hesitance and after a while, she bit her lip and gently asked, "Brother Wei, can I formally become your disciple?" Disciple? Wei Xiaobei was a bit speechless. He looked at Zhu Xine, "Girl, why did you think about this?" "I want to be able to defend myself in the dust world." Zhu Xine casted a glance at Huang Kuan before pulling back. Her face carried a "succeed or die trying" expression. Without a doubt, Wei Xiaobei's high intimidation had leaked out a bit when he was asked seriously. It was enough to make Zhu Xine feel a heavy pressure, but even though that was the case, she was still determined to push through. It seemed that she had steeled her heart in asking him to be her master. Wei Xiaobei bitterly smiled. The charm of a beautiful girl was truly outstanding. Even Huang Kuan, who was young and inexperienced, could not speak at all. Okay. However, I, myself, haven't finished my apprenticeship. If you want to make me your master, then you can only be like Huang Kuan, a disciple in name only. Is that fine? Wei Xiaobei thought about Zhu Xine's words and felt that there was nothing wrong with it. After all, self-preservation abilities were the most important in the dust world. Even if Zhu Xine would be able to charm 2-star, 3-star, and even 4-star monsters in the future, and these monsters would be able to protect her, there was no guarantee that these monsters would not kill her before she was able to charm them. Just like summoner jobs in many games, no matter how many or how strong their summons were, if the summoner dies, there was no meaning to the summons at all. If Zhu Xine could learn a bit of martial arts, then she would be able to run away properly. This disciple is willing. Zhu Xine was much more sincere than Huang Kuan when entering discipleship. She let go of Wei Xiaobei's arm, retreated to the edge of the bed, and kneeled in front of him. Don't be like that. Wei Xiaobei's body was heavily injured. Even if he wanted to pull Zhu Xine up, he could not do so and could only accept it. I am actually a senior apprentice brother now. Compared to Wei Xiaobei, Huang Kuan's attention was towards a different thing. Seeing Zhu Xine enter discipleship, he happily called out. This really made others doubt that the real reason he told Zhu Xine things was for this purpose. Just be obedient in the future and don't be unruly like this brat. Wei Xiaobei looked at Huang Kuan and ignored him. After all, they were only disciple and master in name, so he didn't need to be strict like formal discipleship. Even the customs of accepting disciples was placed as low priority. Okay. Huang Kuan, go find a pair of pliers and pull out the fragments on my back. Although Wei Xiaobei had removed a portion of the fragments in the dust world, he was not an elephant, so there were some places that he could not reach. After telling Huang Kuan to get pliers, Wei Xiaobei looked at Zhu Xine's wrapped-up leg, but he did not know if she could walk or not. Xine, can you walk? I can walk. When the time comes, I'll go to the hospital to have it checked. I don't think it will be too much of a problem. Zhu Xine understood Wei Xiaobei's words and immediately answered. You cannot go to the hospital. Our injuries are too conspicuous. Enter the left-hand side of the alley and walk 30 meters. There should be a drugstore there. Buy a gauze, iodine, and disinfectant. Buy more of them. If there are surgical scissors and surgical knives, it would be even better. Wei Xiaobei carefully arranged things. He took out a wad of cash and gave it to Zhu Xine. Zhu Xine was admiring Wei Xiaobei's omnipotence. From his words, she had guessed that he was so amazing to even know surgery. However, Zhu Xine would absolutely never imagine that Wei Xiaobei did not even know how to do such a thing. When Huang Kuan returned with pliers, Wei Xiaobei was currently searching for surgical knowledge in the internet. Wei Xiaobei immediately lied down when he saw Huang Kuan return. When he saw that Huang Kuan's hand was shaking, he could not help but smile. No problem. You do not have to worry about anything. As long as you pull out the fragments, everything would be fine. Now, hurry up. Wei Xiaobei's last words increased in seriousness, causing Huang Kuan to tremble, but he became relaxed afterwards. After pulling out the first piece, Huang Kuan saw that Wei Xiaobei did not let out a sound. His boldness grew as he did not treat Wei Xiaobei's back as a back at all. He acted like he was pulling out weeds and finished pulling out all the fragments. Naturally, Huang Kuan did not have any skills at all. Not only did he reopen the wound, he even expanded it, making Wei Xiaobei suffer the pain. After pulling out all the shards, Wei Xiaobei told Huang Kuan to go welcome Zhu Xine back after seeing she had not yet returned. He himself went to the bathroom and turned on the shower. The strong water thoroughly washed his wounds, turning red. The flowing red water would scare other people, but Wei Xiaobei was only feeling the pain. The water surged onto his wounds while he would also rub them from time to time. The pain from this almost made Wei Xiaobei break out in cold sweat. After washing off the dust on his back, Wei Xiaobei closed the shower and stood still for a short while. He waited until the wound stopped bleeding before wiping himself with a towel, turning the white towel into blood red. If a normal person used unboiled water to wash their wounds would have almost certainly become inflamed and bacteria would have gotten in. They might even die due to tetanus. However, this was an unnecessary procedure for Wei Xiaobei. With his high health attribute, unboiled water was nothing. On the contrary, after the dust had been washed off, it was better for his wounds when closing up, causing his recovery to be faster. As for bacteria and whatnot, a majority of it would have been eliminated before entering the wound. After wiping himself, he wore clean clothes and came out. He sat in front of the computer and studied medicine, surgery, etc. from the internet. Without a doubt, Wei Xiaobei was planning to perform surgery on Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine. After researching a bit, Huang Kuan returned with Zhu Xine. The two of them were sweating all over. They still ran everywhere even when they were injured, so it was normal for them to sweat from the pain. Zhu Xine had bought what Wei Xiaobei asked for. There were a few rolls of gauze, boxes of medical cotton, a few bottles of disinfectants, iodine, and saline solution, cefazolin sodium injection, and even a few surgical scissors and surgical knives. It seems that the medicine store had provided Zhu Xine with everything, otherwise, buying them elsewhere would have been difficult for Zhu Xine. Zhu Xine placed the change on the desk and waved at Wei Xiaobei. "I will go drink water first. Wait for me." Wei Xiaobei was currently looking at the internet for medical knowledge while looking at his status panel. He would check if there were any changes to his skills. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, there were still no changes to his status panel. Wei Xiaobei was worried that his learning was too low, so he looked at his evolution points. "I still have 1035 evolution points. It should be enough." Thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei concentrated on his learning attribute. In an instant, his learning increased from 11.1 points to 15 points. Once his learning increased, Wei Xiaobei once again looked at the screen and carefully absorbed the medical knowledge. He suddenly felt his mind become lively. There were many things that he did not understand before, many things that he could not remember properly. But now, it was much more easier to remember things, and understanding them was also easier. Very quickly, Wei Xiaobei noticed that a new skill appeared in his status panel. Medicine, Intermediate. He did not know if it was the benefit of increasing his learning attribute, but once the medicine skill appeared in his status panel, it had immediately skipped beginner and rose to intermediate. Naturally, with Wei Xiaobei's learning speed and reasoning level, reaching intermediate was not incorrect. After studying for a while, the color of the medicine skill became darker, but it never reached expert level. There was nothing wrong with this. After all, reaching expert level would normally take 3 years of experience. No matter how strong Wei Xiaobei's learning ability was, reaching the level of 3 years' worth of experience with just a few hours of studying would be impossible. He looked at Huang Kuan and Zhu Xianyi's pale complexions. It was natural for them to appear that way. Huang Kuan's left shoulder was heavily injured, and there was a hole in Zhu Xianyi's leg. Moreover, she even ran to the store to purchase the supplies needed. The reason that they hadn't collapsed was probably due to killing a lot of saplings and young zhuaguais, causing their status to increase a large sum. Most of their evolution points went to their health attribute. Otherwise the two of them would have collapsed and died. Wei Xiaobei did not delay anymore. He focused on his medicine skill and leveled it up. After placing 50 evolution points into it, it had reached advanced rank. Wei Xiaobei slightly smiled. He never imagined that studying this much would decrease the evolution points requirement by 50 points. With just advanced rank in the medicine skill, Wei Xiaobei did not dare perform surgery yet. In reality, studying 3 years of medicine would not even be enough to be considered a graduate in the School of Medicine. Continue increasing it. After placing 200 more evolution points into it, he had leveled it up to expert rank. This was equivalent to 7 years of study. Wei Xiaobei hesitated. He felt that his medical skill was not high enough, so he decided to increase it one more time to increase his confidence. Input 300 evolution points. His medicine skill increased from expert to master. Mastery was the equivalent to 12 years of learning. Wei Xiaobei thought a bit and felt that this was enough. After all, many hospital surgeons were at this level. Soon after, Wei Xiaobei told the two of them to prepare the materials that he needed, such as disinfecting the surgery knife and the surgery scissors, while he himself was supplementing his knowledge on medicine. After a while, Wei Xiaobei felt that his knowledge was sufficient. After all, Huang Kuan's and Zhu Xianyi's injuries did not require any big operation. However, when he looked at the both of them doing the preparations, Wei Xiaobei felt a bit guilty. He might just be the worst doctor ever. He actually asked his patients to do part of the work for him. It's fine now, let me do the rest. Xine lie down on the bed first. Wei Xiaobei waited for Zhu Xine to lie down and then picked up a bag of saline. After adjusting it a bit, he set up the saline on Zhu Xine's left arm. Wei Xiaobei placed the necessary tools on the tray beside him. Afterwards, he recalled the main aspects of surgery. He first disinfected Zhu Xine's wound, then applied anesthetic, and begun his first surgery. Compared to Huang Kuen's injury, the injury on Zhu Xine's leg was lighter. Thus, Wei Xiaobei chose her as his first patient. Other than the lower level of difficulty, he could also gain a bit of experience. No matter how high his medical knowledge was, he still needed to have a bit of experience. In truth, if his time was not constrained, he would have considered going to the hospital to train for a few days. Since this was his first surgery, he had made a few small mistakes, but in the end, the surgery was successful. After applying medicine and wrapping her leg with a gauze bandage, Wei Xiaobei loosened up. Although the operation did not take long, Wei Xiaobei's forehead was filled with beads of sweat. Huang Kuen, who was standing beside him, had already switched out a few towels. Okay, stay down first. Wei Xiaobei took off the rubber gloves and let Zhu Xine lie down until the anesthetic dissipated. He immediately changed his rubber gloves and disinfected the surgery tools while telling Huang Kuen to lie down on the old deck chair. He hung up the saline bag, disinfected the wound, and applied anesthetic before beginning the operation. Huang Kuen's operation was longer than Zhu Xine's. Luckily, Huang Kuen's health attribute was higher than Zhu Xine's. Although it was not as amazing as Wei Xiaobei's health attribute, the wound had healed. This made it a lot easier for Wei Xiaobei. While he was operating, Zhu Xine struggled to sit up on the bed and leaned against the bedside to wipe Wei Xiaobei's head from time to time, preventing the sweat from dripping into Huang Kuen's wounds. As time passed, Huang Kuen felt that the anesthetic was going to wear off, but the operation was not yet finished. In truth, only when Wei Xiaobei declared that the operation was finished, did Huang Kuen feel the weight in his heart drop down. If Zhu Xine was 100% confident in Wei Xiaobei, then Huang Kuen was only 20% confident. This could not be blamed on Huang Kuen. Zhu Xine just did not understand Wei Xiaobei's past too well. Adding to her admiration of him, she treated Wei Xiaobei as the best and strongest in whatever he did. Huang Kuen, on the other hand, had only trained in the dojo for one summer. He only understood that Wei Xiaobei's martial arts skills were good. In terms of massages and soft tissue injury, he believed that Wei Xiaobei's skills were not bad whatsoever. However, he could not link Wei Xiaobei with surgical expertise at all. In the end, the two operations were finished. Wei Xiaobei let both of them lie down and began to put away the materials. He threw away the trash and put away the things that could still be used. The smell of disinfectant in the room made the place seem like a real hospital ward. Wei Xiaobei picked up the bags of trash and went out of the dojo. After throwing them away properly, he went to buy a few bowls of congee. When Wei Xiaobei returned to the room, the two people had already fallen asleep. Huang Kuen and Zhu Xine were both very tired. Whether it was their physical or mental endurance, both had been drained to their lowest point. Because the surgery had finished and they were in a safe place, the two of them surrendered to their exhaustion and fell asleep. However, Wei Xiaobei did not allow the both of them to enter a deep sleep and woke them up. Wow, it's actually pork with century egg congee. Master is the best today. Huang Kuen's nose was quite sharp and immediately shouted when he smelled the food. There was something wrong with his last sentence, but Wei Xiaobei let it go since he was quite weak after surgery. Zhu Xine's hometown did not have pork with century egg congee, so she was not as excited as Huang Kuen. She was a bit curious and tasted it. After that, she immediately took big bites as she began to like the taste. Huang Kuen had his left arm operated on, so he anticipated his master serving him. The only problem there was that Wei Xiaobei was not proficient in taking care of people at all. After trying to feed Huang Kuan a few times and sometimes pushing the scoop of food into Huang Kuan's nose, Huang Kuan gave up and insisted on eating by himself. He only asked Wei Xiaobei to help him hold the bowl. After eating their fill, the two of them fell asleep. Wei Xiaobei took this chance to check his wounds. The recovery was continuing and already formed scabs. At this rate, full recovery would only need 5 days. After all, this kind of injury did not affect his internal organs, but the wounds were still deep. The normal amount of time to recover would be a lot longer. Wei Xiaobei was joyful after recalling the operations that he had done. In terms of the 2 operations, he would give himself a score of 70. This was already quite good. It must be known that most surgeons' first operations would only be that of a supporting role. They were completely unable to be like Wei Xiaobei in being able to do first-time operations in succession. He could even be called a doctor already. Wei Xiaobei suddenly felt that his qualifications had increased. If he were to introduce his job, he could brag about it. Hee, Uncle Wang, I am now an electrician. Hee, Uncle Wang, I am now a doctor. Without a doubt, anyone could tell the difference between these 2 sentences. In the past, people of different professions usually had the same position in society, but now, a difference in professions would put people into significantly different positions. Could you even say that a sanitation worker was in the same position as a CEO? Could you even say that a security guard was in the same position as a mayor? Could you even say that a bar singer was in the same position as a celebrity? It was different. Thus the qualifications were different. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei knew that he must hide this doctor profession of his. For one, he did not have a medical certificate. Second, he did not have a work unit. Third, he had not truly studied medicine. He was a doctor without any qualifications to be one. After being happy for a while, he checked the battle log and noticed a few things. In reality, the battle log was not able to see through everything, but he was able to understand what the limestone line was. Battle log. Host moves. Receive 9 temple arrays restriction. Movement failed. Movement failed. 9 temple array. After noticing this, Wei Xiaobei immediately yet carefully searched through the internet. With the blessing of the internet, Wei Xiaobei was able to quickly find the information he wanted. After looking at it, he began contemplating. The 9 temple array was equivalent to the 9 positions in ancient times. First temple Kan, north, second temple Kuan, southwest, third temple Zhen, east, fourth temple Sun, southeast, fifth temple Zhong, center, sixth temple Qian, northwest, seventh temple Dui, east, eighth temple Zhen, northeast, ninth temple Li, south. Even those who did not know what the 9 temple array was would automatically understand that it originated from the 8 trigrams. The name, 9 temples 8 trigrams battle array, was enough to understand this. After thinking a bit, Wei Xiaobei confirmed that the thing preventing him from passing the line was some kind of battle array. The dust world had become even more mysterious. Wei Xiaobei bitterly smiled. He tossed this problem to one side and thought about studying. Wei Xiaobei felt that the things he needed to study had increased. Medicine was something he wanted to study deeply. It was just too useful. Whether it was in the dust world or in reality, it had many uses and benefits. If he received any major injuries, he could treat himself to cut off the recovery time. He could also use it to treat other people. A doctor that could cure any kind of illness and injury had great importance. He also needed to learn electrical work and about his concealed weapon. At this time, Wei Xiaobei understood an irrefutable truth: only when the time comes to apply knowledge that you regret not acquiring enough of it. For the entire night, Wei Xiaobei spent all his time in front of the computer. 90% of the time was used to look for medical knowledge in both traditional and Western medicine. He downloaded everything and sent it to his phone. The other 10% was used to download high-grade resources for electrical engineering. Finding it for free on the internet was very hard to do. According to the seller, reaching grade 8 in electrical engineering would not be a dream with this resource. As for concealed weapons, it would be very difficult to find them in the internet. Wei Xiaobei also knew that this kind of material could only be physically found in various martial arts schools. Anybody found posting these kinds of stuff in the internet would be dealt with accordingly by their respective schools. It seemed that the only way he could obtain materials for them was to ask help from his master. The sky began to glimmer as Wei Xiaobei looked at the time. It was already 6 in the morning. He stretched his body, removed his blood-stained shirt, and changed into new clothes. Soon after he went out to exercise in the outer practice grounds. Because he was still injured, he could not do some severe exercises like punch training. He could only stand there and train his qi. When he began training, he noticed that some of the injuries had affected some blood channels, making it quite hard to smoothly push his qi through them. After cycling a few teams, Wei Xiaobei felt that the pain had decreased and his recovery speed had quickened. However, his injuries still remained. After around half an hour, he had to take a break. He went out to buy deep-fried breadstick, porridge, steamed buns, and other things for breakfast. Wei Xiaobei then woke up the still sleeping Zhu Xine and Huang Kuan. Towards Wei Xiaobei's morning call, Huang Kuan was the most dissatisfied. Although he did not dare protest loudly, he continuously muttered, "Do sick people even have human rights? I am a sick person, you know." However, before he even spoke up, his hand already grasped on a deep-fried breadstick. Zhu Xine was a girl, so her display was a lot better than Huang Kuan. She struggled to get up from bed and went to wash up in the bathroom. Only after doing that did she relaxedly sit in front of the dining table and ate the porridge and steamed bun with small bites. After breakfast, Wei Xiaobei inspected their injuries and changed their bandages before relaxing. The two of them had obtained a lot of benefits during the trip to the dust world. Because they received a lot of injuries, their health attribute had increased a lot. Huang Kuan's had increased to 11 points, while Zhu Xine's increased to 6 points. Adding to Wei Xiaobei's successful operations, their injuries were recovering nicely. After laying the two of them back to bed, Wei Xiaobei let Huang Kuan store the small Zhua into the flash drive. A weapon from the dust world was just too conspicuous. As for the sacred beetle machete, Wei Xiaobei had just decided to gift it to Zhu Xine. Since Zhu Xine did not have a reserves flash drive like Huang Kuan, Wei Xiaobei wrapped it in newspaper and placed it into a cloth bag. Next, Huang Kuan did not stay idle. He lied down on the couch and fiddled with his flash drive. Although he was not smart, his thinking was not slow. Since the flash drive could store things as data, he thought about using it to bring things from reality into the dust world. If he could do this, there would be no need to worry about food and water anymore. However, after trying it with books, Huang Kuan miserable declared that his idea failed. Items from the real world could not be turned into data and stored inside the flash drive. This had decreased the worth of the flash drive. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei also understood that if the flash drive could store things from reality and brought into the dust world, then it would be too overpowered. For the same reason, things that could not be brought back from the dust world could not be stored in the flash drive. After Huang Kuan found out the flash drive's ability in the outer practice ground in the dust world, he had placed in leaves and twigs from the sapling, but forgot about them. Now that he tried to bring them out, he could not do so. Afterwards, Wei Xiaobei began to carry out tasks as a master. He taught Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine the basics of Bajiquan. Huang Kuan was in a better position since he had already learned most of them during training, but Zhu Xine did not know anything, so Wei Xiaobei had to carefully explain in detail for her to understand. In terms of learning, Zhu Xine completely defeated Huang Kuan. Although Zhu Xine could not deduce many things from it after learning, she still remembered them at heart. As for Huang Kuan, after hearing it once, when Wei Xiaobei asked him, he roughly remembered only 60% of it. After explaining things about Bajiquan a few more times, Wei Xiaobei took out a few string-bound books. These books were originally given to him by Cheng Bai Wu and recorded a few things about Bajiquan. After all, Wei Xiaobei was originally treated as a genius and could remember things about Bajiquan in just a single explanation. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei did not tell them the crucial secrets of Bajiquan. It was also not in the books and could only be transmitted by word. He had already calculated this in his heart. Although Cheng Bai Wu might not say anything even if Wei Xiaobei told them, Wei Xiaobei felt that there should be a bottom line. He had to report this situation to his master before he could teach them those certain things. Moreover, Zhu Xine and Huang Kuan did not have a status panel like him. Even if they had a gift in learning martial arts, just the basics would take a long time to master. Wei Xiaobei took the chance when the two were reading the books to look for more materials in the internet, download them, and send them to his phone. After busying himself until the afternoon, Zhang Zhilong finally returned to the dojo. After not seeing him for 2 days, Wei Xiaobei became happy at his return. However, when he saw Zhang Zhilong, he was startled. His complexion was pale and his hair was messy. His clothes also let out a strange smell even from afar. Luckily, Wei Xiaobei felt that his second senior apprentice brother must have wandered around for a long time or stayed in an internet cafe without rest. The prince-like atmosphere had also disappeared. After asking, Wei Xiaobei understood that his second senior apprentice brother had not only contacted his connections to find out more about the zombies' movements, he also tried various methods to try and enter the dust world such as drinking alcohol, reading books, playing games, electric shock, and being knocked unconscious. However, these methods did not let him enter the dust world at all. Naturally, these failures were not limited to just him. If entering the dust world was that easy, the streets would be filled with talented people who could enter the dust world. After Zhu Xine and Huang Kuan greeted this martial uncle, Zhang Zhilong's fighting spirit was boosted again. If Zhu Xine, a college freshman, and Huang Kuan, a second-year junior high student, could enter the dust world, why couldn't he? After returning to his room, taking a cold shower, and changing clothes, Zhang Zhilong's prince-like appearance returned with full fighting spirit. He originally planned to bring everyone out to eat but Zhu Xine and Huang Kuan were both injured and could not go out. In the end, he decided to call a restaurant and ask them to deliver 7 to 8 dishes. This made Wei Xiaobei full of happiness as he could get some free food. If Zhang Zhilong had not returned at noon, Wei Xiaobei had planned to buy noodles back. After Cheng Bai Wu and the others left, Wei Xiaobei had dismissed the cook in order to conceal his secret. After eating lunch, Zhang Zhilong left again. Wei Xiaobei suggested a few things to him about the dust world, tickling Zhang Zhilong's interest. Wei Xiaobei called his master after that and asked a few things. He also took the chance to ask a few things about martial arts such as concealed weapons and the 3 Emperor Cannon Fist. Cheng Bai Wu was happy to receive Wei Xiaobei's call and immediately helped Wei Xiaobei with his questions. He also sent Wei Xiaobei some information. Because Cheng Bai Wu was busy building another dojo, they did not talk for too long and hang up after. Cheng Cc had already entered another college in Hangzhou, so his third senior apprentice brother was accompanying her. Wei Xiaobei thought for a bit before calling Cheng Cc. He was worried about his senior apprentice sister's transfer. He also exchanged a few words with his third senior apprentice brother. After all this, he once again sat in front of the computer and busied himself. Time passed and it was the 3rd day. Just as Wei Xiaobei woke up, he received a call from his mother. After nagging for a while, she asked Wei Xiaobei when he would come back. At this time, Wei Xiaobei came to a sudden realization. Since he was so busy, he had forgotten the matters of returning back home and having a marriage interview. It was no wonder that his mother burst with anger. Now, Wei Xiaobei could not refuse to go back anymore. He could only promise that he would return tomorrow. After hanging up, Wei Xiaobei wiped away the sweat on his forehead and gazed at Zhu Xine with a bit of hesitation. Previously, Wei Xiaobei wanted Zhu Xine to play the role of his girlfriend and deceive his mother. However, it was different now. His relationship with her was different now. Zhu Xine had already entered discipleship and became his disciple. Even a disciple in name was still a disciple. If other people knew that a master had asked their disciple to be their temporary girlfriend, he would lose a lot of face. Wei Xiaobei was not a licentious, prodigal son, so he treated these kinds of problems seriously. No matter what was said, he must go back and pacify his mother. Otherwise, if his mother became angry and forced him to do the marriage interview, it would be very troublesome. Admittedly, he did not need to care about these worldly matters with his current strength, but this familial affection of his was able to bind him. In simpler terms, even if he was undefeatable under heaven, there was still someone that could control him. That was his mother. No matter how overbearing he was, he could not ignore his parents. Just like that, Wei Xiaobei needed to go even if he did not want to. If he wanted to have a peaceful and quiet return, he needed a shield. Xine, come out for a bit. Wei Xiaobei hesitated for a bit and called out Zhu Xine in the end. Zhu Xine's leg injury had already scabbed. Although she needed more time for a full recovery, walking was not a problem. Huang Kuan wanted to follow along, but he was glared at by Wei Xiaobei. He stayed back in fright and muttered, talking behind others' backs. If it's not secrets then it's adultery. Wei Xiaobei's sharp ears were able to hear this, but he could not scold Huang Kuan at this moment. Zhu Xine was standing beside him. No matter how much he hesitated, he still explained his matter. Zhu Xine originally thought that there was an important matter that Wei Xiaobei wanted to explain. Who could have imagined that it was actually the situation with his parents? She blushed and nodded her head, giving consent to this matter. In reality, she was a bit baffled. After all, she had already agreed to it before, but why did he ask again? Naturally, Zhu Xine found it embarrassing to ask again. Since Wei Xiaobei asked again, then confirming it again should be fine. Zhu Xine's answer settled Wei Xiaobei's worries. He immediately prepared his luggage, inspected the minivan, and prepared to leave in the afternoon. After finding out about this matter, Huang Kuan kept pestering that he wanted to go, but he was mercilessly put down by Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei had hit Huang Kuan's head, sending him tearfully lying down. It was impossible for Wei Xiaobei to bring this brat with him. His plan was flawless, but once Huang Kuan went with them, then he might just provoke a bigger problem. If his mother keeled over from anger, then Wei Xiaobei's offense would be so great that he would never be able to make up for it. If Wei Xiaobei did not consider Huang Kuan's injured arm, he would have directly sent him back. Now, he could only leave Huang Kuan with money and allow him to buy and eat whatever he wanted. As for whether Huang Kuan could take care of himself or not, Wei Xiaobei did not worry about it. Since Huang Kuan dared to enter the dust world, living in the dojo alone should not be a problem. In any case, he would not be able to take a bath or do many taxing things at the moment. After setting things up for Huang Kuan, Wei Xiaobei sat in front of his computer to look for driving-related resources. Driving a car home was Wei Xiaobei's initial dream when he first began working in Chuihu City. Wei Xiaobei had never driven a car before, nor had he ever held onto a steering wheel or entered driving school. It must be known that when Yao Wu was still there, he had treated the minivan as his treasure. If anyone else wanted to drive it, it would be more difficult than ascending heaven. Thus, Wei Xiaobei never learned anything from him. However, a skill like driving should not be a problem for Wei Xiaobei. He just needed to study driving from the internet, download a real driving simulation, train for 2 hours, then try to drive the minivan. Only then did the driving skill appear. Driving, beginner. Although the skill appeared, its color was very light, lighter than most skills that had just appeared. This meant that similar beginner rank skills could have different levels of mastery. This also meant that Wei Xiaobei's driving skill was inferior to other beginner skills. However, there was no urgency. With this driving skill, Wei Xiaobei researched for more internet materials. Afterwards, he carefully drove the minivan bringing along Zhu Xine and a pile of luggage toward the outside of the city. In reality, operating the car, stepping on the gas, moving the gear shift through the clutch, etc., was a very simple matter for Wei Xiaobei with his current status. However, the streets were filled with people and cars. Wei Xiaobei was only a beginner, so slowing down was still a better choice. Moreover, if he was caught driving without a license by the police, then he would not know how to confess to his third senior apprentice brother that the car had been impounded. This was not a question about money. However, driving slowly like this for an endless amount of time was a tedious task, but it also increased his driving skill by leaps and bounds. By the time he made it to the border between the city and countryside, Wei Xiaobei casually looked at his driving skill and saw that it had increased to intermediate rank. This was one of the benefits of having a high status. The stronger his agility, intelligence, and even awareness was, the more outstanding his driving skill would become. When he finally reached the expressway, he let out a sigh of relief and cheerfully drove the car forward. Wei Xiaobei was actually worried that the minivan would not be able to get onto the expressway. Anyone who saw it would say that the minivan already belonged in the junkyard. Naturally, driving a car was still a pleasant occasion for men, especially when one had just come out of driving school. Zhu Xine was quiet throughout the ride. She sat in the front passenger seat and played on her phone, looking at the materials about Bajiquan that Wei Xiaobei had sent her. Only when they reached the expressway, did Zhu Xine blush, and she asked a few questions. The main questions were about Wei Xiaobei, his family, and other similar matters. To be a good temporary girlfriend, staying silent was not an option. Wei Xiaobei was also aware of this. Thus he explained a few matters while driving. Driving while talking was as easy as walking while talking for Wei Xiaobei. Even if a truck charged over, he would be able to easily dodge the danger. Wei Xiaobei's hometown, Baita County, was located in the Sichuan province. It was around 300 kilometers away from Chuihu City. Driving a car would take around 4 hours to make it there. 3 hours on the highway and 1 hour on old roads would be sufficient. However, from Wei Xiaobei's point of view, it would take at least 5 hours with the old minivan. When he made it there, it would probably be around 9 p.m. No matter how far it was, he would make it there as long as he went forward. He left the dojo around 4 in the afternoon. When he descended the expressway, it was already 7:30 p.m. Baita County's economy was not developed. The fact that there was not direct path from the expressway to the county was enough evidence of this. The old road to the county was a continuous hill path with 2 sides filled with lush trees. Entering at night made it appear as if demons and ghosts were hiding within the trees. In truth, there were not many cars on these kinds of routes at night since a bit of bravery was needed to traverse them. Perhaps because of impatience or happiness, Wei Xiaobei joked with Zhu Xine while driving, before the communists won, this road did not exist and was originally a forest. There was only a small path to walk through. At that time, there were a lot of bandits waiting in ambush. If people passed through it, they would come out. If a girl like you were to pass by, you would have probably be the first to be kidnapped. Master. Zhu Xine did not dare stare at Wei Xiaobei, but she unhappily shouted. She looked outside the window and stared at the path illuminated by the headlights. Master, there seems to be a car stopped in the middle of the road. Suddenly, Zhu Xine hesitantly called out. Yeah. Wei Xiaobei nodded. Compared to Zhu Xine, Wei Xiaobei's vision was a lot better. It was especially prominent in dark places. It was an old Jinbei van. If it was around 7 to 8 years ago, the van could be considered a luxury van. But now, the vans in major cities were true luxury vans. Worn-out old-fashioned vans like this had flowed into counties like the Bai-Ta County to serve as means of transportation. Thus, it was not rare to see it in such counties and stops. Could it be a vehicular malfunction? Wei Xiaobei shook his head. If there was really a malfunction, then the hazard lights should be on. Stopping in the middle of a dark road might create accidents. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei already saw that there were no human figures moving in the vicinity of the van. Creak. Wei Xiaobei stopped the minivan on the side of the road and turned on the hazard light. Then he got out of the car. Zhu Xine went down to investigate earlier than Wei Xiaobei. Her courage was not small. When Wei Xiaobei opened the door, she had already circled the van once. At this time, she returned with a pale face while trying to be calm. "Master, there is no one in the car." This matter was really frightening. Under the dim night sky, there was a van stopped in the middle of the rarely used road. There was no one inside the car as if it was tossed aside, but there was proof that people had been in there from the luggage that could be seen from the window. The people who were supposed to be in the van seemed to have suddenly disappeared into thin air. "Xine, look after our car. I will go take a look." Wei Xiaobei frowned and felt that this was too strange. Since he encountered it, he wanted to know what happened. Moreover, he did not feel any danger, but it was still better to be careful. "Master, please take care," Zhu Xine worriedly reminded him and then took out the machete from her bag. In truth, her boldness had increased after entering the dust. Whirled twice. If this was highway robbery, Zhu Xine was not afraid, but that specific van was truly strange. After grabbing the machete, she calmed down. Wei Xiaobei circled the van, but did not notice anything. The van door was locked. Unless he did destroy the door, he would not be able to pull it open. After finding an open window, he easily pulled himself through the window. With a loud bang, Wei Xiaobei entered the van and stood up, while Zhu Xine stood aside, looking at his direction with her hands sweating. Wei Xiaobei inspected the luggage, seating, and the other things inside. He did not find any abnormalities, strange smells, or any signs of struggle. Even the cup on the driver's side cup holder was still steamer hot. At this time, he regretted not looking at any materials on criminal investigation to gain the skill. If he did, he might have just gotten an answer to this problem with his high reasoning attribute. Even if that was so, he understood a few things. This van was a van that traveled around different villages in the county. The time that it had been there was not long. At the very least, it had not been there since the morning, otherwise the police would have towed it away, forbidding cars from stopping the middle of the road. The marks in the car also told him that it had stopped for less than 2 hours. The most important problem was that the van's battery had already ran out. This was the conclusion Wei Xiaobei obtained when he tried operating the van. It was hard to imagine that there was no battery already. This was because Wei Xiaobei had inspected the battery and knew that it was newly changed, making it impossible to run out of juice from old age. However, there was simply no charge. It was also impossible for it to run out of charge due to the driver turning on the air conditioner, because the window was open and the temperature today was not hot. Wei Xiaobei frowned and patted away the dust on his hands. He returned to the front of the van and hesitated. He opened the door and told Zhu Xine to go back in the car. He started the minivan again and drove past the van, heading towards the country. Zhu Xine did not ask anything. It was clear that it was a case without any clues. It was impossible for them to just wait beside the van for a long time. They could only wait until the next day to inquire about it. Silence ruled the inside of the minivan. Wei Xiaobei drove while thinking about the van's details, attempting to figure out the problem. He felt that there was a relationship between the disappearance of the van's passengers with the dust world, but he also felt that he was too paranoid to relate every mysterious incident to the dust world. Zhu Xine, on the other hand, concentrated on her phone, turning her attention to learning martial arts to free herself from the thoughts of the strange van. No other problems occurred along the way. When Wei Xiaobei stopped in front of Baita Elementary's gates, it was already 9:10 p.m. Uncle Lu opened the gates for them as he recognized Wei Xiaobei. "Oh, it seems that Xiaobei has returned." "Yeah. Is this your girlfriend?" "Not bad, not bad. Xiaobei is a very sincere child." When he saw Zhu Xine, he praised her and then praised Wei Xiaobei in the end. Zhu Xine's face reddened and did not dare speak. She only relaxed when Wei Xiaobei drove the car forward, leaving Uncle Lu behind. Wei Xiaobei's current attention though, was not on Zhu Xine. He was looking at the familiar campus and felt emotional at his return. Although he returned once when he retired from the army, he did not stay for too long. Now that he had returned, his mind traveled down memory lane. His house was located within the elementary school. His mother, Xiao Hong, was a famous outstanding teacher in the school. As a result, a room was prepared for her when the teacher's building was constructed. Because his father's, Wei Xiangdong's, company was in a slump, earning money was just good enough. Hoping to buy a house for themselves was only a pipe dream. Living there was simple. When the teacher's building was being constructed, a workers' lodge was made inside the building to fit even 4 robust men. Just like that, their family lived within the school. No matter what was said, Wei Xiaobei had lived there for most of his childhood. Remembering his youth was a normal thing. After walking around the campus, Wei Xiaobei stopped his car close to an 8th-floored building. "We're here. Don't be nervous. My mother is easy to talk to. Just treat it as your master inviting you over to eat." Even if the lights were dim, Wei Xiaobei could clearly see Zhu Xine's red face and couldn't help but reassure her. Zhu Xine forced herself to settle down and shook her head, "No problem. I was just a bit nervous. It was also like this when I went to a teacher's house." Hearing this, Wei Xiaobei could not help smiling. After all, his mother was a teacher, so Zhu Xine was correct in a way. The two of them carried their luggages as well as gifts they had bought in Chuihu City. Wei Xiaobei walked in front, followed by Zhu Xine close behind. While walking up the stairs, Wei Xiaobei saw that his driving skill increased from intermediate to advanced, making him smile. He noticed that normal skills like driving seemed easy to level up. Normal people would probably need 3 years before their skills reach advanced, which was also roughly on the level of operating a bus. Wei Xiaobei was on the better side as he learned it to this point in just 200 to 300 kilometers. He would probably be beaten up by driving students who were going to take the driver's exam soon. There was no elevator in the building, but luckily, the 8th floor was the highest floor. Wei Xiaobei's home was on the 5th floor and it was not a bad place. The school leaders lived on the 2nd or 3rd floors to have a more comfortable time. As for the 1st floor, there were only a few teachers willing to live there due to the humidity. Most people who lived there developed diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and other such diseases. As a result, the most popular floor was the 4th floor, and the 5th floor was barely good enough. Those on the 6th and 7th floor were retired teachers, and those on the 9th were young teachers. This arrangement could be seen as both reasonable and unreasonable. It just depended on how you saw the situation. Standing in front of the old security door, Wei Xiaobei suppressed his rising emotions and pressed on the doorbell. At this time, his mother should be preparing the next day's teaching materials. His father would be watching television while drinking tea. His little brother, Wei Xiaopeng, was currently a 3rd-year senior high school student, so he should be preparing for the college exams and would still be at school, not yet returned home. Then the one who would open the door would be his little sister, Wei Xiaoyun, a 3rd-year junior high school student. Who is it? Who is knocking at the door? A nice-sounding voice came from the other side of the door. Wei Xiaobei smiled at her vigilance. However, this was natural since old security doors did not have peepholes. Thus it was impossible to know who it was without opening it and asking a question. "It's me." Wei Xiaobei originally planned to tease his little sister, but he never imagined that when he spoke, the door would immediately open and his little sister would jump into his chest. "Brother, you really returned. I missed you so much." The girl spoke with a tearful voice as she rubbed on Wei Xiaobei's chest, as if she was letting out the feelings of not meeting for a long time. Although the two of them were siblings, the power of genetics had hit the both of them. From small, whenever Wei Xiaobei would bring Wei Xiaoyun out to play, people would never realize that they were siblings. Wei Xiaobei looked ordinary. He had single eyelids, a slightly slanted nose, slightly dark skin, and a circular head. His body was not too big or too small. In short, it would be hard to distinguish him if he was thrown in a sea of people. He had completely inherited his father's genes and could be said to be a bit handsome when he was young. But Wei Xiaoyun was completely different. From birth, she looked like a delicate doll. The older she grew, the prettier she became. It was said that during her 6th grade, she had already received love letters from precocious boys. During her first year in junior high, if a male student talked to her, fists would go flying behind the scenes. However, his little sister was a lively and friendly person. She did not have the concept of men and women should not touch hands when they give or receive things. Because of this, it was easy to imagine the multitude of misunderstandings that were born. Luckily, Baita Elementary had an elementary school and a junior high school, so she had studied there. It was thanks to their mother's strong suppression, that many of these misunderstandings were resolved. Even so, the amount of men looking at her every day was not few. No matter what, she was someone who would always tag along with Wei Xiaobei ever since she was small. Her relationship with her brothers was the closest, to the point that it would even incite their father's jealousy from time to time. When Wei Xiaobei left for the army in the past, she bawled her eyes out. When he retired from the army and returned, she became so happy that she cried again. However, he never imagined that she would cry again when he just returned. "I missed you too, but you are a big girl already. You can tell your big brother if you have any problems. Your big brother will help you vent, but don't you let others laugh at seeing you like this." Wei Xiaobei flexed his muscles while saying this to display that he was now very strong. "Okay, Xiaoyun. Stop embarrassing your brother. Don't you see that your brother brought back a guest?" A happy voice came from within the room. Wei Xiaobei raised his head and noticed that his mother and father were standing there. Among them, his mother's expression was the most excited. He was even able to guess what his mother was feeling right now. Just from the expression on her face, he could tell that her words meant, "Stop being so enthusiastic toward your brother already. You will be laughed at by your sister-in-law." He could also tell that the most important thing his mother wanted to do was to pull Zhu Xine over and interrogate her. Xiao Bei finally yielded interest. He found a girlfriend, but he did not report back about it, causing this mother of his to go around and ask for marriage interviews. Did he think it was simple? When they finally entered inside the house, Wei Xiaobei introduced both sides. His mother quickly went to the kitchen and prepared a meal. Wei Xiaoyun, on the other hand, moved her attention to Zhu Xine and pulled her into her room. Many things happened that night. In brief terms, his mother was very satisfied with this daughter-in-law, while his father, who did not express his opinion, was smiling the entire night. Instead of being happy, this made Wei Xiaobei worry. If his lie was exposed, his ending would probably be ugly. The Wei family's upbringing was a bit strict. At night, Zhu Xine slept with Wei Xiaoyun, while Wei Xiaobei slept in his brother's room. The next day, Wei Xiaobei had overslept. When he woke up, he sighed as he felt that the atmosphere in the house had completely changed. He never imagined that he would actually have such a serene sleep the first night he returned home. It must be known that Wei Xiaobei never had such a comfortable sleep back in Chuehu City. Today was a Saturday. His little brother had returned home from school, but because he had many assignments during his third year senior high school, he quickly returned to his school after eating lunch. When Wei Xiaobei saw his little brother, he felt that his changes were too huge. Now, his little brother's height was almost the same as his. While Wei Xiaobei was sighing, he did not know that his parents were worried for him. In the afternoon, Wei Xiaoyun volunteered to serve as a guide for Zhu Xine and pulled her to go window shopping. Her situation was different from Wei Xiaopeng. No matter how many assignments third-year junior middle schoolers had, it could not be compared to the workload of third-year senior middle schoolers. With her grades, her mother would not say much even if she idled a bit. When the both of them left, Wei Xiaobei's father called him over. The two of them sat on the sofa. His serious expression startled Wei Xiaobei, causing him to think that the fake relationship between them had been found out. After all, neither Wei Xiaobei nor Zhu Xine had been in a real relationship before. This made it awkward for the both of them, making it easy for people to see through this falsehood. "Xiaobei, is your body all right?" His father asked worriedly while his mother was a bit nervous. "Body? There's nothing wrong." Wei Xiaobei was baffled by this sudden question from his parents. Naturally, he also sighed in relief. As long as the truth about his relationship with Zhu Xine was not exposed, then everything was still good. "Nothing wrong. You have suddenly grown so tall. Could it be that something bad is growing in your brain? Why not go see a doctor this afternoon?" Before his father was able to continue his question, his mother spoke up with concern. Height. Wei Xiaobei immediately understood it. He had thought about it before going to sleep the night before. He was originally 1.71 meters tall, but now, he was 2 meters tall. With such a huge change, how could his family not notice it? He never imagined that his family was actually waiting for him like this. They actually thought that his brain had a tumor, which resulted in him growing so tall in such a short period of time. This also had its precedence. Now that information had spread so much, many things that were unknown in the past became clear in the modern era. Everyone knew that there was an illness known as gigantism. This was caused by a brain tumor, resulting in abnormal secretion of the growth hormone and increasing a person's height at a fast speed. It was no wonder that his parents were tense. His little sister also shared their concerns as she pulled Zhu Xine outside so that they could talk. After noticing this, Wei Xiaobei did not know whether to laugh or cry. He felt moved by his family's concern and care, but he felt a headache on how to explain this to them. This was different from his master and apprentice brothers. No matter how close they were, there would still be personal space left in between them. However, parents were different. They would care for you in every possible way and force you to go to a checkup and other things. It was not that Wei Xiaobei disliked it, but he had no way of explaining this at all. "It's just secondary growth. I already had it inspected the previous month by the best hospital in Chuehu City. It's real since I value my own life." Luckily, Wei Xiaobei's thought process was faster than before. He was able to quickly find a dependable excuse and attempted to cover this matter. However, his mother was not easy to fool. She immediately followed up with more questions, almost making Wei Xiaobei speechless. In the end, Wei Xiaobei also brought out the ace card known as Zhu Xine and told them that she also knew about this, making them drop the topic. Afterwards, Wei Xiaobei took the opportunity to go to the toilet and sent a message to Zhu Xine to urge her to support his claims. Only when Zhu Xine and Wei Xiaoyun returned was the matter settled. In the next few days, Wei Xiaobei enjoyed his family's company. At the same time, he also tried to gather information about the strange van. In the end, Wei Xiaobei found out more about it when he brought Zhu Xine to his classmates' reunion party. A classmate who worked for the police talked about it, which attracted his attention. For this reason, Wei Xiaobei grabbed onto him and poured him more wine to loosen his mouth. Originally, before 10 p.m. on that day, there was a person in a different car that noticed the empty vehicle, so they called the police. Afterwards, the traffic police and the criminal police were sent over there, but just like Wei Xiaobei, they were not able to find any clues. The only clue that they found was that the van came from some village and was heading toward the county. When the van left the village, it was half full of people. However, because it passed through several villages, people would depart and join, so there was no fixed number of passengers. Thus, it was hard to count how many passengers there were. Without any clues, the traffic police could only tow the van to the side of the road and did not dare move anything inside. Only 2 criminal police remained there to guard the place, and then they continued the inspection on the next day. Something unexpected had happened in the wee hours of the day before 2 a.m. While the 2 police were smoking and chatting, they would look at the van from time to time. One of them joked, "Shaoli, do you think that this van is a ghost van? How could a car full of people suddenly disappear? It's probably impossible for each of them to jump down from the car and jump into the river, right?" The other police was just a new recruit that had not yet reached 2 months of his training. He was still considered as a newbie without any experience. When he heard this, all his hairs stood on their ends as he looked at the river 10 meters away from the road. If he had heard of this in the day when people were around, he would not have been scared. However, under the night where the road was rarely used and the darkness surrounded the place, even the sound of wind would be chilling. The old officer's sudden words were truly frightening. "Old Wang, don't joke around. How could that be possible?" Although Xiao Li's back chilled when he heard this, he was not willing to express his fright. If he did this, he would have lost face once old Wang spreads the news. Being afraid of the supernatural as a police officer was a truly embarrassing thing. Joking. We have already encountered many cases like this in the force. Tomorrow, you should go to the archives and check those old cases that could not be solved. For example, a woman had hung herself by the river, and a corpse appeared inside of a van in the middle of the night. Many other cases like these had taken place. The old police smiled. Who knew if he was lying or not, but his tone had changed. If it wasn't scarier outside, Xiao Li would have opened the door and jumped out. In his heart, the thought of old Wang being a demon arose. Bang! At this time, a striking sound suddenly came from above the van. In the quiet night, the sound was extremely clear. Ah! At this time, Xiao Li's mind snapped from the tension. He opened the door in fright and jumped down from the car while crazily shouting. The following scene had startled old Wang, but his psychological resistance was higher than Xiao Li's. He never expected Xiao Li's psychological resistance to be that bad. He pulled out his gun and went down from the car. Then he gave Xiao Li 2 slaps on the face and shouted, "Wake up. Something happened in the direction of the van. Quickly inform the team. I will go take a look first." After being slapped, Xiao Li finally became clear-headed. He quickly pulled out his phone and made a call, but he never imagined that this would be the last words he would hear from him. "Vice Captain, this is Xiao Li. Something happened in the direction of the van." Xiao Li was still tense. But he calmed down after making the call. However, at this moment, old Wang's loud voice came from the van. "Who is it? Show yourself." Bang bang. 2 gunshots were fired. Ah! Help! Old Wang's call for help came, but in the next moment, the call for help completely disappeared. Xiao Li was startled and quickly moved his position. He dropped his phone on the ground and pulled out his gun while hiding close to the police car. When the team quickly came over, old Wang had already become a corpse. All traces of the attacker had completely disappeared. These were the only things Wei Xiaobei found out from his classmate's mouth. After all, he was only a traffic police and not the chief of the criminal police. Knowing this was already good enough. Naturally, some parts of the plot came from his imagination. However, 80% of the information should be correct. After acquiring the information, Wei Xiaobei became even more confused. Without a doubt, the thing that appeared on top of the van was the one that attacked Old Wang. Because of this, he believed that there should have been clues left behind by the attacker. However, he could not go look at the moment. Even if he did go, he would not be able to see anything. At the very least, Wei Xiaobei now understood where he should go. Nothing unfortunate happened until the reunion ended. After all, the main reason he joined the reunion was because his relationship with his classmates was not bad. When he was still a student, the amount of people he had bad relationships with were a minority. There really was a huge difference between novels and reality, as there were not that many dishonest people among them. They all exchanged contacts and agreed on another reunion once they would have another chance to. Having such relationships with his classmates was not a bad thing in this society. As long as a person had enough common sense, they would not harm their classmates. It was said that you couldn't judge a person by their appearance. Wei Xiaobei's generation of classmates were people who had the biggest chance of rising up. Who knew if someone would suddenly become the boss of a company, or become rich to the point of being famous? However, a few male classmates definitely felt jealous of Wei Xiaobei, someone who had nothing special, obtaining such a beautiful girlfriend. In the end, they still asked Wei Xiaobei to let his girlfriend introduce a few people to them. After leaving the restaurant, they said their goodbyes and left their own way. Wei Xiaobei brought Zhu Xine along, but he did not call the police, chatting while walking towards the police station. After circling the police station twice, the both of them returned home. Zhu Xine had also heard of his classmate's story. Thus she did not object to Wei Xiaobei bringing her to circle around the police station. On their way back, Wei Xiaobei had a discussion with Zhu Xine. As a result, Zhu Xine took a bath early and pulled Wei Xiaoyun into her room. Wei Xiaobei, on the other hand, accompanied his parents in watching television and used the excuse of being tired to go to sleep. What his parents did not know was that when he returned to the room, he locked it and directly jumped out the window. He did not use the minivan and jumped over the wall behind the school, running towards the police station. Naturally, it was still very early, around 8 p.m. Wei Xiaobei sat on a side stand and ordered barbecue and beer. He took his time as he ate and drank. Time slowly passed to 11 p.m. Wei Xiaobei got up and moved to the back of the police station. He wore a black mask and entered by climbing up the wall. When he finally found the police chief's office, he frowned. Perhaps because of Old Wang's death, the office was still brightly lit even though it was 11 p.m. It seemed that the police chief intended to work well into the night. If this situation continued on, it would be hard for Wei Xiaobei to infiltrate and obtain more information. No matter how awesome he was, he could not turn invisible. The amount of people monitoring the place was also not few. Since he was not invisible, there was a high chance that he would be exposed. After pondering a bit, he decided to hide behind the office first and walked there slowly. Maybe because the office was old or for security purposes, the back side of the building had no windows. After climbing onto the rooftop, Wei Xiaobei hid there until 3 a.m., only then did the lights were turned off. The police rubbed their blurred eyes and yawned as they eventually all left the place. However, there were still people who hadn't left yet. At this time, Wei Xiaobei did not care about this meager amount of people. He carefully infiltrated the building and hid from the guards. In the end, he found information from the case file on the office desk. In normal cases, these files should have been placed into the paper shredder. However, this time, they might have neglected these things due to an officer also dying. After getting what he needed, he returned home and lied down on his bed while thinking over the situation. There had not been much difference from what he heard from his classmate, but it was a lot more detailed. Old Wang's breastbone had been completely shattered and the skin on his chest was burned open. It was as if he was burned by some high-temperature substance. What was left was a hand print that looked close to a paw print. The old police fired his gun thrice. 3 meters away from the officer's corpse was a footprint embedded a few millimeters into the road. Although the road was old, it was still made of thick asphalt which was incredibly hard. Being able to leave a footprint made it easy to understand how strong the attacker was. In short, the information made Wei Xiaobei feel that it could be a guoshu expert that grabbed onto burning coals and attacked Old Wang. However, when he made a connection to his special skill release electricity, he immediately came to a conclusion. His previous guess seemed to be a bit more reliable. The passengers of the van had been sent to the dust world, then a random passenger returned and attacked the police. However, there was still something that was a little difficult to explain using this line of logic. How could a passenger who had just entered the dust world for the first time kill a robust police? Moreover, they had also grasped a flame special ability. However, Wei Xiaobei knew that as long as it was related to the dust world, anything could happen. Other than that, Wei Xiaobei noticed an important piece of information. On the east side of Baita Hill, strange incidents were happening that might be related to the suspect. A village located on the foot of the hill was raising chickens. However, more than 30 chickens seemed to have been stolen after a night. The one responsible for guarding the chickens even reported that he heard chewing sounds in the night. Because of fear, he did not go out to search, so there was not much information. However, later, the police found a lot of blood-stained chicken feathers 500 meters away from the village. Now, the police and the militia were all searching around that area of the mountain, yet there was no other information at the moment. Wei Xiaobei considered the information while studying on the saved information on his phone. In reality, doing this would be hard if he did not increase his learning to 15 points. Naturally, even if the difficulty was high, it was not that efficient. After letting his thoughts run wild, he stood still and made a breathing stance to let himself calm down. Afterwards, he held his phone and devoted himself to studying. Once his efficiency increased, his interest also rose. He did this until 2 a.m. of the next day and stopped due to insufficient battery. Only then did he sleep. He woke up at 6 a.m. and immediately called Zhu Xine over. The two of them went down the stairs and arrived at the flower garden in the east section of the school. Wei Xiaobei gave pointers to Zhu Xine and let her practice by herself while he trained his qi. Time quickly passed, and when he finished his training, it was already 11 a.m. After training, his qi was able to flow quicker due to its increase in amount. Wei Xiaobei then made Zhu Xine return first to cover up for his future absence. He then started the minivan and left the school. After eating a bowl of sesame wonton outside, he headed towards Baita Hill that was 10 kilometers away. Baita Hill was the logo of Baita County. It was also the origin of the name. In the records of the county, during the Tang dynasty's rebellion, a great evil appeared in Baita County. This great evil alarmed the populace and killed everywhere. At that time, the county magistrate invited a capable Taoist. The Taoist ordered the construction of a white tower on a barren hill to protect feng shui and suppress the evil. In the end, peace returned to the county. Afterwards, the hill where the white tower was named Baita Hill. Of course, the county record was already more than 1,000 years old. As for what the evil was, no one knew about it. However, the name of the county was still used until this day. Wei Xiaobei was familiar with Baita Hill. Baita County was part of the agricultural sector, so its economy was not too developed. There were not many places to play in the county, so most school excursions were to the Baita Hill. Before the minivan approached the hill, Wei Xiaobei found a police checkpoint 3 kilometers away. A few police cars had blocked off half the road and inspected every vehicle that crossed the place. Wei Xiaobei did not take the risk and turned the car around and stopped the car in a rural tourism building. He rented a room and rode the van heading towards Huanglong town, safely passing through the checkpoint. The distance between Bai Ta Hill and the road was not far, only adding up to around 200 meters. As the van passed by, Wei Xiaobei swept his gaze around the place and saw a lot of military uniformed figures. He could even faintly hear the barks of police dogs. Bai Ta Hill was part of the county's mountain range. The hill was 300 meters tall. The front part was protruded outward, and the back part extended to the mountain range. It was like a turtle head, protruding out of the mountain range. This was also the reason why Bai Ta Hill's original name was Ao2 Hill or Turtle Head Hill. The White Tower stood at the peak of the hill. It was entirely white with 1,300 years of history. The fact that its color had not yet faded was a miracle. The tower was made of bricks. The structure was hexagonal with 13 floors. Its height was 69 meters, and it was divided into 4 parts: the foundation, the base, the body, and the temple. Every floor had bells that rang whenever the winds blew past and could be heard from afar. Inside the place, there were various Taoism statues such as the Celestial Emperor, Tai Sui, and many others. On the outside, there were engravings and fairies. There were octagonal copper mirrors on every floor that could be called evil-warding mirrors. At the top of the tower, there was a 4-sided, copper-casted sift with gems embedded in it with various images of fairies. This item could be called a national treasure. Unfortunately, during times of turmoil, this treasure had been lost and could not be found until this day. In the end, Bai Ta County was lacking in money, so the treasure was substituted with an iron cooking pot. After passing by Bai Ta Hill, Wei Xiaobei got down from the van. He waited until the van disappeared before covering his face with a black cloth. He quietly infiltrated the place and moved toward the tower. The local militia had already set up sentries all around the hill to prevent villagers from entering. However, their attention was more on the hill, allowing Wei Xiaobei to easily infiltrate it. On top of the mountain, armed police were guarding the place while some police formed search parties. Every party was accompanied by police dogs. They were fully armed just based on their attires. Wei Xiaobei knew that hiding from them was a difficult thing to do. More than 10 search parties were already dispatched to search around the tower. They had just eaten lunch and were about to go back into searching around the mountain. Seeing this scene, Wei Xiaobei frowned. He went around the place and found a large tree. He climbed up and hid in the dense treetop, quietly waiting. Because the place around the tower was steep, the vegetation was dense, making searches slower. Time continuously passed by as the sun above his head began to move west. Although it was fine now, the temperature around the tower was temperate. Moreover, the place was a mountain forest. Mosquitoes began to move in large groups, moving toward the sweat coming from the people. Wei Xiaobei could be considered as having bad luck. The mosquitoes had targeted him and continuously attacked his skin, forcing him to keep releasing electricity. Before the mosquitoes were able to land on his body and suck his blood, they all died while letting out smoke. Not long after, there was a layer of mosquito corpses under the tree he was staying at. Luckily, the place he was at had already been inspected by the people. Otherwise, people would find it strange when they saw the scene. Wei Xiaobei was still unable to change the voltage and electric current. Thus, continuously releasing electricity consumed a huge amount of energy. Fortunately, he had bought food before he came up the mountain and was able to replenish his energy. The sky gradually darkened. The search parties already searched through the waist of the mountain and moved toward the top. In truth, this kind of searching was very effective. After all, they were all bringing police dogs with them. Once the dogs found something strange, then it would be easy for them to notice it. It must be known that dogs' intuition were high. Even Wei Xiaobei did not dare say that he could hide from them. Moreover, people who were stronger had been considered a bigger threat, making it easier for dogs to find them. It was already past 7 p.m. The sky had already darkened as the search parties had already returned back to the top of the hill. It could be said that if the murderer hid on the mountaintop, then his distance to being captured was quite close. It must be known that there were more than 10 armed police defending the peak close to the tower, watching for movements in the entire mountain. With this kind of enclosure, it would be hard to escape. At this time, Wei Xiaobei's lazy appearance disappeared as he became serious. His gaze was on the top of the mountain as he had a premonition. Even if the police force was that strong, he felt that catching the murderer would be a difficult task. Suddenly, ringing sounds came from the mountain top, 2 gunshots were fired, and the dogs began to bark. Afterwards, Wei Xiaobei faintly heard a few snarling sounds. Catch him. He went that way. Be careful. Watch your guns, don't accidentally fire on one of us. Due to the suddenness of the situation, the men on top of the mountain were in chaos. It was very clear that they had a contingency plan. Once the first moment of chaos began, the search parties would begin their chase. The color of the sky was horrendous. If it was a normal person hiding in the lush treetops, they would not be able to see anything hundreds of meters away from them. Being able to see a few black dots would already be good enough. However, Wei Xiaobei's gaze focused on the mountaintop. There, a black figure jumped and leaped while the search parties were slowly surrounding him. The dogs barked, and guns were fired as the black figure was slowly sinking into their enclosure. Finally, the black figure swayed as blood spurted out from its body. Wei Xiaobei understood that the black figure had been hit by the gun. However, what surprised the search parties was that when the black figure was shot, it only swayed a bit, and then it immediately charged down the mountain while ignoring the precipitousness of it. It was like a tiger that directly charged down. It must be known that although the cliffs were not perfectly straight, the angles were still more than 35 degrees. A 35-degree slope itself was not a joke. It might not appear big in drawings, but people going down a mountain of this degree would need to be careful. A slight incaution would be enough to make one tumble down the mountain. Moreover, there were certain areas where the slopes reached 60 degrees. This was also the reason why the search parties wasted a lot of time. However, once the black figure charged down, it completely ignored its injured body and made others feel as if it was about to commit suicide. The surprise caused by the black figure's behavior had slowed down the movements of the search party. This was also part of human nature. Since the black figure was about to kill itself, they did not back it and just followed behind to fetch the corpse. However, the thing that happened next baffled the search parties. When the black figure charged down, a loud bang sounded, and its back suddenly grew flame-colored wings that slowed down the black figure's descent. Afterwards, the black figure once again put away its wings and landed in the forest and disappeared. Shoot! Shoot it! This sudden change had alarmed the search parties into thinking that they might have been too tired and their eyes were blurry. How was this possible? How could wings appear on the back of humans? Could it have been a demon? As these thoughts entered the mind of the people, someone ordered them to open fire. They immediately raised their guns and fired, covering the forest with bullets. Compared to the search parties, Wei Xiaobei jumped down from the treetop and used the cover from the vegetation to move toward the black figure that disappeared. Wei Xiaobei was shocked. Compared to the search parties who only saw flame-colored wings, he understood that the wings were made of flames. Because of the black figure's speed of descent, the flames had extended, turning into wings. At that moment, Wei Xiaobei came to a conclusion. It seemed that the black figure was related to the death of old Wang. Moreover, it was just like Wei Xiaobei that had entered and came out from the dust world, but the figure had mastered the power of fire instead. This made Wei Xiaobei slightly excited. Since long ago, Wei Xiaobei had obtained great power from the dust world, but he was a bit lonely inside with no one to talk about it. Even if Huang Kuan and Zhu Xine were added to the equation, the difference in strength was too big. He could only be said to be their caretaker. But now, he had found someone who had come and gone alone into the dust world. Moreover, he had obtained a special ability like his, release electricity. How could Wei Xiaobei not be excited? Maybe that person had also grasped something about the dust world. No matter what, Wei Xiaobei began chasing after the black figure. He wanted to understand the situation. At this moment, Wei Xiaobei simply did not care about hiding himself anymore as he increased his speed and ran like a violent bear. He kept charging forward and ignored the vines, bushes, branches, and shrubs in his path. His speed had created a small path. Even the search parties that were heading down thought that it might be an elephant passing through when they saw the path. What day is today? Why does it feel like monsters are beginning to appear? After running hundreds of meters, Wei Xiaobei used his response search. Found it. The black figure hid beside a big tree by digging a hole and covering it with thick leaves. Only its head could be seen. Stop. Response search. Wei Xiaobei strode forward and used status appraisal on the black figure. The black figure's status immediately appeared in Wei Xiaobei's mind. Name, Zhu Yi Duo. Race, human, werewolf subspecies. Gender, male. Age, 31. Creature rank, 2-star. Status, the average adult male's status value is 10. Strength, 20, muscle, 20, sturdiness, 20. Agility, 7, hand-eye coordination, 7, flexibility, 7, reflex, 7, balance, 7. Vitality, 14.5, health, 15, endurance, 14. Intelligence, 5, learning, 5, reasoning, 5. Awareness, 7, willpower, 5, judgment, 3, perception, 10, intuition, 10. Charm, 3, courage, 4, persuasiveness, 2, character, 3, leadership, 3, appearance, 3. Skills. Special skills. Evolution points, X, unable to accumulate evolution points. Items on hand, human blood essence. Zhu Yi Duo. Wei Xiaobei could not help exclaim at how high his muscle and sturdiness attributes were. However, it was just this and nothing more. The remaining attributes other than vitality were altogether not that great. However, Wei Xiaobei was more excited about his race. Human, werewolf subspecies. Werewolf. Wei Xiaobei had read about them before, but they were only found in old European legends. It was said that during Europe's Dark Ages, witches, vampires, and werewolves ruled the night. During the night, even the strongest knights did not dare leave the fort that they were protecting. Moreover, werewolves were creatures that were similar to humans but had the ability to transform into giant wolves. It seemed that this was the case here. After Wei Xiaobei understood Zhu Yi Duo's status, the black figure bypassed the leaves and jumped out the hole. Compared to Wei Xiaobei's slight amazement, Zhu Yi Duo's back was drenched in cold sweat. When he hid himself under the leaves to hide from his pursuers in the night, he suddenly felt a cold glare looking at him. At that instant, Zhu Yi Duo felt as if he was stripped bare, as if his inside and out were completely seen through and understood by another being. He had never experienced this before. Feeling this threat, he pounced towards Wei Xiaobei. When he was in midair, all his muscles bulged out. His hands were instantly covered in thick hair and a blaze appeared at the palm of his hand, moving towards Wei Xiaobei's head. Wei Xiaobei initially planned to ask him a question, but seeing the other party's reaction made him feel that it would be hard to make the other party talk. He could smell that thick scent of blood on Zhu Yi Duo's body and even feel the killing intent covering him. Just these 2 points gave away to Wei Xiaobei that Zhu Yi Duo had killed more than 20 people. It was impossible to obtain anything from the mouth of a diabolic person like this. These kinds of people were extremely perceptive about any words said to them that could be perceived as lies. Thus, Wei Xiaobei used his status appraisal in the first chance he had. Since it was impossible to peacefully talk, then he would fight. Only then would he be able to obtain the things that he wanted. Wei Xiaobei smiled when he saw the black figure pouncing at him. Although Zhu Yi Duo's strength was high that it exceeded even him, he could see that Zhu Yi Duo had never trained in any type of martial art. At most, Zhu Yi Duo should only know how to fight like a street thug. The only reason Zhu Yi Duo could oppose the search parties was only thanks to his high strength attribute. Ha! Wei Xiaobei shouted and placed strength in his legs. With a stride, he charged forward while activating elementary power burst. When the two were about to collide, Wei Xiaobei kicked with his right leg, striking Zhu Yi Duo's abdomen. Zhu Yi Duo originally planned to let out his punch and hit Wei Xiaobei's chest. He was used to using this method of attacking, and it would produce results every time. Zhu Yi Duo, every time, would feel rejuvenated whenever he saw his opponent's pained expression from being burned. What he never imagined this time was that his reaction time was not enough and had even been kicked in the abdomen by his opponent. A strong pain came from his abdomen. He could no longer stay on the ground and was sent flying like a kite. The flame in Zhu Yi Duo's hand had already been extinguished. He immediately tried to grab something to stop himself from backing. However, Wei Xiaobei had already caught up to him and grasped his shoulders with both hands. Just like that, Zhu Yi Duo's body stopped flying, but Wei Xiaobei did not decrease in speed at all. He immediately pulled back both hands and struck Zhu Yi Duo's chest with his left shoulder. Iron Mountain Lean. A strong force surged towards Zhu Yi Duo. He did not even have a chance to let out a cry of pain and was sent flying once again. Warm blood spurted out from his mouth, but Wei Xiaobei caught up to his position and closed it, making Zhu Yi Duo faint from the blood flowing down his throat. Wei Xiaobei smiled. He felt that Zhu Yi Duo was 3 times weaker than his expectation. He did not even need to use the electricity or high intimidation to capture him. Zhu Yi Duo was too weak. In truth, if he just learned a bit of martial arts, he wouldn't be like this. Wei Xiaobei even felt that Cheng Si, while not as easy, could win against Zhu Yi Duo even with his full strength. After grabbing the unconscious Zhu Yi Duo, Wei Xiaobei turned around and went deeper into the forest. When the search party arrived at the place, they only saw broken branches and the path that Wei Xiaobei moved through. They searched over the place they fought at, but Wei Xiaobei had already stealthily moved past them. He did not dare stay in that place for too long. Police dogs were not vegetarians after all. Once they caught up and determined the direction of escape, it would be quite easy for conflict to arise. After hiding past a few militia and leaving the foot of the mountain, Wei Xiaobei directly moved towards the farmlands. After running for 2 meters, he found a river and waded into the water. He walked 300 meters when he reached a shore full of reeds. He chose a place densely crowded with reeds and threw Zhu Yi Duo there. Wei Xiaobei then crouched down and pressed on a few of his acupuncture points. Cough, cough, cough. Zhu Yi Duo violently coughed and opened his eyes. When he saw Wei Xiaobei, he shouted as he struggled to get up and defend himself. Wei Xiaobei had already defeated him once. If he let Zhu Yi Duo succeed in resisting, he could only look down on himself. He extended his right hand and punched Zhu Yi Duo's abdomen. The same violent pain once again transmitted into Zhu Yi Duo's body, almost making him faint. Just this punch was enough to let Zhu Yi Duo know that Wei Xiaobei was not a kind and merciful person. His spleen might have even split in 2 from the last attack. Zhu Yi Duo let out a bitter smile as he felt the pain coming from his abdomen. He would never have imagined that he would fall in a place like this. You are someone from the secret department, right? I never imagined that you people had actually entered that place. I admit defeat, do as you will. The words that Zhu Yi Duo spouted confused Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei wanted to admit that he did not know, but decided not to say anything after thinking for a while. He only looked at Zhu Yi Duo with a smile, as if a cat toying with a struggling mouse. After shouting out a few more things, Zhu Yi Duo felt puzzled at Wei Xiaobei's silence. "You're not from the secret department. Did you come from abroad? What do you want to do?" "Oi." Zhu Yi Duo kept asking Wei Xiaobei questions, but he did not reply. This had made Zhu Yi Duo's suicidal thoughts disappear. After all, no one would want to die. Even people who had thoughts of dying, people who wanted to jump from a building would never think of jumping down once they were pulled off the ledge and calmed down. Wei Xiaobei lightly pressed on Zhu Yi Duo's abdomen and slightly increased his strength, causing Zhu Yi Duo to pale. Zhu Yi Duo did not know whether or not he should ask for forgiveness. At this time, Wei Xiaobei spoke in a slow manner, "I'll ask the questions, you answer them. You should know the results if you dare tell me a lie. If you push down a person standing on one extreme, it would be easy for them to go for the other extreme." Now, it could be said that Wei Xiaobei had turned Zhu Yi Duo's thoughts upside down. In truth, Wei Xiaobei had previously thought that some foreign country's power had entered the dust world, but after asking a few times, Zhu Yi Duo simply did not know what this secret department was. Zhu Yi Duo's previous question was completely influenced by novels. He felt that the someone who had captured him yet had not sent him to the police would most likely be from the country's secret department or from a different country. This Zhu Yi Duo was someone who had been a worker for a construction site only half a year ago. He never imagined that he would one day enter the mysterious dust world. From that point on, his life changed. He had fortunately killed a werewolf and drank its blood. Then he had picked up a scarlet pheasant egg, gaining the ability to control fire. However, he did not have the guts to do anything after that. After assimilating with werewolf's blood and gaining the ability to control fire, he did not dare to adventure in the dust world. After obtaining strong powers from the dust world, he became extremely arrogant. Money? Steal them. Women? Steal them. In short, when he discovered that he could overpower the police with his power, he eventually alarmed the people. He would kill anyone who did not see eye to eye with him. In short, he would take revenge against the people who were against him and send the people who disrespected him to the Yellow River. Human lives was already only numbers in his eyes. In the end, the police force was enraged and invited the garrison to investigate and at the same time annihilate the problem. This was not without a price. Zhu Yi Duo had been forced out of the city and then had a fight in the suburbs. Zhu Yi Duo had almost lost his life. His entire body was riddled with injuries. Even if his regeneration was not bad, he could not handle it anymore and escaped tragically. He kept running and made it to this place. However, when he was riding the village van, the passengers began to quarrel. This made him angry. When he was thought of killing the passenger, something unexpected happened. Zhu Yi Duo and everyone in the van entered the dust world. Without any worry, Zhu Yi Duo killed everyone in the van and tore them to pieces. He even enjoyed a few women as he vented out his stress from running away. However, he never imagined that when he returned back from the dust world, he would encounter Old Wang, who came to investigate the scene. Old Wang was indeed killed by him, but this had caused him to once again become the target of the police. After fleeing from the scene, he had ran to the Bai Ta Hills. As for the rest, it would be when Wei Xiaobei came into the picture. Wei Xiaobei looked at Zhu Yi Duo and let out a bit of killing intent. In terms of killing, Wei Xiaobei had killed before, but he had a bottom line. However, this Zhu Yi Duo was strung through and filled with evil. Just from his words alone, Wei Xiaobei had assessed that number of people he had killed was more than 78. In truth, other than war times, it was the first time that Wei Xiaobei heard of someone covered in blood. "Ah, you cannot kill me. I have something else to say." Perhaps due to the wolf blood in his veins, Zhu Yi Duo was sensitive to danger. He could even feel the slight killing intent from Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei looked at him and did not speak, showing that he was not easy to fool. Although Wei Xiaobei was not that wise, his intelligence was still at 15.04 points. It would be easy for him to find any flaws in the other party's words. This had already appeared clearly in his previous interrogation. Zhu Yi Duo's attempts at lying were all punished by Wei Xiaobei. The reason was very simple. This was because Wei Xiaobei could easily sense Zhu Yi Duo's heartbeat, sweat and other physiological reactions at that distance. In short, Wei Xiaobei was a human-shaped lie detector. If Zhu Yi Duo wanted to lie to Wei Xiaobei, it was not as easy as just changing his expression. He would need to make a believable lie, or it wouldn't work. It's real. I found out that the dust world here is different from the dust world back home. Zhu Yi Duo did not dare gamble with Wei Xiaobei's feelings as he hastily continued. Wei Xiaobei had actually guessed that the dust world differed depending on the place you entered, so he did not care about this. However, Zhu Yi Duo's next words changed his expression into a heavy one. Originally, the small town where Zhu Yi Duo was originally from was the coastal town close to Shanghai. There, most of the monsters came from European legends. There were human skeletons that rose from the grave, werewolves that prowled in the night, vampires that slept in coffins, and even witches that controlled territories. In short, the place was like a mythical Dark Ages setting of Europe. Hearing this, Wei Xiaobei's eyebrows twitched. He knew that the city that Zhu Yi Duo came from was close to Shanghai, so it was a comfortable place to live at. Moreover, in the past 10 years, there were many European businessmen and white-collar workers who chose to settle there. Additionally, there were more than 10 churches built at that place. In short, the influence of European culture was heavier there. Wei Xiaobei would naturally not go to that place to take a look. The information that Zhu Yi Duo revealed next increased Wei Xiaobei's interest. After Zhu Yi Duo had killed the passengers of the village van in the dust world, he noticed that the landscape of the place was a field of hills with a white tower at the center of it all. Zhu Yi Duo said that he had sensed the opportunity and danger from that place, but he did not dare move toward the white tower. There were too many dangers on the way, so he decided to return back to reality, run toward the white tower, and enter the dust world from that place. Wei Xiaobei inwardly frowned. Zhu Yi Duo appeared to be somewhat calm while he was speaking, but his heart would sometimes speed up. This meant that he had lied in some places. And indeed, Zhu Yi Duo had added lies to his words. The most important point was that he lied about being afraid of exploring the place, but he had met a strong opponent and got frightened to return. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei knew that Zhu Yi Duo had lied, but he could not judge how much of what he had said was a lie. The most difficult thing to judge was lies mixed in with truths. However, Wei Xiaobei still thought that Zhu Yi Duo should not be allowed to live. Whether it was the blood in Zhu Yi Duo's hands or the possible threat he might have, Wei Xiaobei could not let an unstable element like him exist. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei's family also lived there. Right, there is still one thing that I need to explain. The wolf bloodline truly had its strengths. When Wei Xiaobei let out killing intent, Zhu Yi Duo was able to perceive it and immediately open his mouth. What? Wei Xiaobei slightly moved back his hands and accumulated power. He already decided that he would not continue to listen to Zhu Yi Duo's words. If there was anything, he'd rather use his own probing. Police. Zhu Yi Duo pointed behind Wei Xiaobei and called in astonishment. With Wei Xiaobei's perception, he could easily sense that there was no one there. However, Zhu Yi Duo's rich expression baffled Wei Xiaobei. Boom! In that instant, Zhu Yi Duo's body lit up in flames. Wei Xiaobei subconsciously dodged the flames and reacted in the next instant. His fists crackled and lit up with sparks as he struck toward Zhu Yi Duo. In order to escape, Zhu Yi Duo steeled himself and let his hard back receive Wei Xiaobei's fists. His body stiffened from the hit, but he was able to borrow the momentum and tumbled out. Next, his muscles bulged to the point that his clothes were torn apart. Hair began to grow all over his body. His mouth lengthened, and claws grew from his hands and feet. In an instant, he had turned into a black wolf. When he turned into a wolf, the numbing effect from Wei Xiaobei's punch dissipated. He did not counterattack, but he rather chose to immediately jump into the nearby river. Wei Xiaobei was not willing to let him go. He strode forward and chased after him. Before Zhu Yi Duo entered the river, Wei Xiaobei smashed his electricity-covered fist at him. Copper head, iron bones, tofu waist. This was the knowledge of experienced wolf hunters. The weakest place in a wolf's entire body was the waist. Hitting it would heavily injure a wolf. Wei Xiaobei knew this, so he prepared to strike to make his opponent lose the ability to resist and go for the kill. This had an even higher chance at success than fighting head-on. Who knew that when Zhu Yi Duo saw this punch, he did not resign to his fate. He struggled for his life and used his tail that had already dipped in the river to fiercely swipe toward Wei Xiaobei's face. He had even ignited it in flames. The wolf's tail was incredibly thick. After being soaked in water, it was like an oiled whip. With the power of the swing and the flame on it, Wei Xiaobei could not help but temporarily retreat. After all, he held the advantage, and Zhu Yi Duo was heavily injured. Even if he wanted to escape, it was impossible to escape from his pursuit. It must be known that the place was a river. As long as Wei Xiaobei released electricity in it, it would be easy to electrocute Zhu Yi Duo to death. However, Wei Xiaobei never expected that after Zhu Yi Duo had separated from him, he actually bit his own shoulder and drank the fresh blood that gushed out. Although Wei Xiaobei did not know why Zhu Yi Duo performed self-harm, he understood that the situation was not good. He did not hesitate anymore and released his 1,000 volts of electricity into the river. Electric light immediately spread through the water. With Wei Xiaobei as the origin, countless fish met their fate and floated up the water. However, when the electricity hit Zhu Yi Duo, it did not have any effect at all. Wei Xiaobei looked again and saw that Zhu Yi Duo had already closed his eyes and floated up in the water, slowly becoming transparent. He wants to escape to the dust world. At this time, Wei Xiaobei came to an understanding and punched toward him. However, this was useless. His punch went through Zhu Yi Duo's body and landed on the water. Wei Xiaobei was so angry that he let out vulgar language. However, he could only look helplessly at the disappearing black wolf in front of him. Wei Xiaobei had a few choices now. His first choice was to follow him into the dust world, but the risks were too big. It must be known that when he entered the dust world, he would be in a sleeping state. If he did this, he would just be sending himself in a silver platter to his opponent. The second choice was to guard the place. Although Wei Xiaobei did not know if Zhu Yi Duo was like him or not, he was 80% certain that he would see Zhu Yi Duo again in a few hours. However, the lights from the flashlights soon appeared from afar along with the sound of dogs barking, and people shouting.